eventually, bada bing. And then I go into this mamma jamma. Oh, that's why I haven't seen anybody chatting, is because I haven't had the chat program open. Oh no. Oh no. Have people been saying stuff? No. Nobody said anything anyway. So I'm perfectly on time with everything that I need to be doing. All right, so auto find and activate. No active for oh bother YouTube. What are you talking about? We just watched it go live. I just saw it. And supposedly Twitch should be live. Let's take a look at it. Until now, says MC Hippo. Oh, and it did show up. All right, there we go. Okay. So why isn't it? Okay, auto find and activate. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's right here. Live streaming. View 0. Testu. Okay, so that's there. Did I put my title in? It's got like a question mark in it, but was the title invalid? Did it tell me something? Wait, there's Bengizmo. YouTube test message. Well, the test message doesn't, well, it means that other people can see it, yeah. Auto find and activate. Oh, now it works. Now the Bengizmo's decided to say something. That's favoritism, YouTube. I won't stand for it. Yeah, I know you're on both. How's it going? Over Wednesday, I figured out what the pinout is, and it turns out the thing that we were looking at was completely correct. It was completely correct. There was no issue with that pinout. It's that our connector is pinned for a different seat, and depending on the accessories and stuff, you can get different pins for different seats. So we got to repin this thing, which just means getting the sleeve off, I guess. Or we can just unpin the things we're not using. So our tasks are pretty simple today. I'm doing okay. I just ate a bunch of noodles, so who the hell knows what's going to happen to my glucose level. It's probably going to go absolutely psycho. This camera does not look calibrated quite properly. Is it autofocusing? Are you autofocusing? Autofocus? No. Okay, so maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. The computer had been on since last stream, and it sometime during the night restarted, which is what my other computer does. So now I've got two computers that randomly restart during the night, and I just don't have it in me to troubleshoot them at the moment. What is so hot over here? Oh, the Raspberry Pi. Yeah. Pi 3B Plus with Node-RED. I got some stuff coming in the mail. I'm going to try to figure out how I want to do the base, because the base is a little bit huge. I think what I need to do is I need to get out the circular saw, and I need to cut down these lengths, because 5 feet for the main rail, while it is nice and luxurious, I don't really need it. And then I think what may happen in the future is, yeah, it's a little bit big. I wanted it to be like the same size as this table. This table can take like an aircraft carrier without breaking. Like I could body slam this thing all day. And Julian uses it when he plays music in here, but I think what I'm gonna do is try to get some of the heavy stuff off of this table and wheel it out. And then this can take its place selectively for when I wanna do steering wheel streams. And that way the cameras don't have to move too far. I got Burn the Sub sitting right next to me, and my main squeeze, the main computer is just right over here. So I'll just have to do a couple lines over to it. Maybe. I'm still thinking about that. Any bigger and it's getting the length of a small car. I could give it 4 electric wheels, and I have everything else that I would need to make it into a car. Yeah. It's a little strong for a car, a little strong and heavy for a car, but we're not wiring up the airbag. I don't know why everybody makes the same joke, and you hear it a lot. This is 5 feet long, and that was kind of, I probably should have made it 4 feet and then lived with it, which is I think what I'll end up doing. And then I might reduce the width to be exactly the width of the chair, so that when I add beams to the outside, they won't hit the chair, but then that defines the overall size to be the width of this chair. I think that's the best that I can do. But yeah, right now it's just taking up a lot of floor space. We have both dogs here today, both our dog and the neighbor's dog. Can I see steering wheel force feedback base already on an aluminum extrusion? What? That's the steering wheel base over there. That's a Mitsubishi Mel Servo sitting in a Scandinavian-made servo motor mount. That's the thing on the floor. The wheel I moved because the wheel's currently right there, and then there's an electrically adjustable steering column that I'm adding to this thing. My genius idea, and I don't think I'm going to implement it in this one, because so I bought the extra seat computer thinking that we wouldn't get the computer with this chair. This one has a computer, so this is an extra computer that I bought for $20, right? I bought this for 20 smackaroos. There are some scratches on the bottom of the circuit board, so I'm a little concerned about whether or not this thing functions. If this were to function properly, that would give me control over another entire seat worth of motors. So 2 of them can be for adjusting the steering wheel position. The others, just on a whim, I was thinking about this, and I don't think I'm going to do this yet, but it's on the table. The other 3, and the cheapest one of these I found was $60. The other 3 motor controls could go towards something like this. And you're thinking, bother, what are you talking about? Why would you do this? What would you possibly be doing with another seat base? Well, the seat base, although curvy and weird, I could add a flat platform to it and attach the pedals to the seat base. And that way, the problem is the 3 of my pedals, one of them comes from the floor and the other 2 are from the top of the footwell. But the thing is, like, if they were all from the top of the footwell and I had that base, I could attach the lateral slides upside down with the rest of the seat base and connect the pedals to it. And that way you can tilt the pedals, you can lift and lower the pedals, and you can move the pedals laterally. So I could have them laterally move out of the way, and then I would have the pedals. You need a second seat to hold your hamburger. Yeah, so Willow can be very worried. Willow, unfortunately, has not taken car rides, and we need to take her to more fun places, because the only places she really goes on car rides is to the vet and to get grooming done. Every single interface is going to be adjustable on 3D as well as tilted. That's more than any car has. I just thought it would be funny, because then if I could give chat those commands, they could take the pedals away from me and I'd be going, what the hell? Hey, none of the adjustments are quick though, but still I thought it would be really cool if the pedals were like infinitely adjustable. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that on this because we've already bitten off more than we can chew with all this other crap. Anyway, what I was saying, Willow has not taken to car rides. She doesn't love them because we go places that aren't fun. I should take her to more fun places, because what she does is she just kind of curls around in the seat and tries to get comfortable. And eventually, I think she puts her little face in the corner between the seat and the door, like the seat back in the door, and just kind of sits like that for a little while. She does not particularly enjoy car rides. Yeah, we got to find a dog park and go to it more. How would you recommend learning about this stuff? My degree is in computer science, but I'm dumb as a box of rocks. That's okay, because you are teaching a box of rocks to think. So it'll be very similar to how you will learn it. I think the best way personally is to have a project in mind, but you don't necessarily have to have a project in mind. It's for me, because I'm an electrical engineer. I've always been doing this stuff my whole life. I've been taking apart stuff, and only fairly recently things have been going back together properly. Basically being like a handy person and fixing and learning and touching and feeling and molesting. I mean, working with electronics. I need something visceral in front of me in order to learn. And so what I do is I find some semblance of a project. Now, there are kits that'll do CAN bus. You can really fuck your car up. You can really properly mess up your car with these kits, because all these microcontrollers have started to speak CAN. Used to be something that was much less attainable, but following tutorials and working with stuff is really what I'd settle on. And I don't know, because your initial level of skill as a CS major is much further along than the typical, I don't know anything about this. I was thinking about doing something with electronics type of question we get. Everyone's unique. Everybody's starting point's going to be weird. Jump into it, find a project. That's all I can really say. Agreed on the projects. I'm a CS guy and I wanted to make a DJ controller, and that got me started. Why did you take a sip of soda in the middle of your explanation of that? That was very rude. we're going to be working on this thing, which if the more observant of you out there have noticed, this is a BMW leather sports seat that has been inverted. It is an F10, so it's like mid 2010s edition. Yeah, and Graphic Corn, if you find something that's totally awesome, share it with the class. I would really appreciate knowing about that, because I started in this kind of stuff in the 90s. My information is moldy. It's terrible. And so it'd be refreshing to hear from somebody who says, hey, I actually accomplished what I asked you guys about. And if it sits and you never touch it again, that's fine. That's fine. Charles Pratt Make electronics books were a good refresher for electronics. Ah, see, there you go. That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I like to foster here. Very cool. Yeah, I sat down with this thing yesterday and I figured out what all the pins are. These are weird. These seat connectors, man, they are weird. There's like assigned positions in them, and multiple generations use this type of connector. And then there's an entire accessory block for the multifaceted connector. It's kind of crazy. Like, if this one apparently doesn't have seat heaters, which is unfortunate, because it would have been very funny if chat could make me feel like I pissed myself while I'm streaming. I know they would want to do that. I know there would be lots of bits redeems in order to make Bother feel like he's pissed his chair. Just because when you always riding with my friends in the car, they would always surreptitiously turn on the seat heater. And I experienced that recently because I went to drive my mother's car and it turned on both steering wheel and seat heat. And I was like, did I piss the steering wheel? I don't think I pissed the steering wheel. I don't have anything wacky to say. That is a shame. Sometimes those days find us when there's just nothing wacky in this world. I don't have any follow-up to that, actually. First half of the books are basic, powering a lamp with lemons, and then he gets into real projects. Okay, so he doesn't do what all of the 90s books, the books that I used to find and you know, learn from. I'm like desperate to get into the center of my setup. Looking kind of bloated today. I actually feel great today. I don't know. Maybe I should quit stealing copper and get to work. Anyway, all of those books from the 90s that teach you how to use electronics are written by people who peaked in the 50s and 60s maybe. And the 50s, 60s, and early 70s were all about just plugging something into the wall. And so the first, little Timmy's first electronics project, they go, hey, get your 12 or your 10-to-1 transformer, and if you don't have one, wind one yourself and plug it into the fucking electrical socket that comes into the side of your house. Like, and then use the 12 volts AC, and we're going to rectify that into a power supply. And it's like, no, don't do that. We've come a long way. You can go whack a cell phone charger and you know, cut the cable off of it, and you've got 5 volts, nice, even, safe 5 volts DC that won't harm you in any way, and you can jump into some pretty goddamn advanced projects from there without having to plug wires into the wall. I've seen it in some of these books, man. They tell you just, hey, plug some wires into the wall. Do it, kid. Like, what? I guess those of you that survive will be skilled in electronics. We can watch Bother slowly go nuts the complexity of BMW wiring craziness. We don't have, the beginning part of this is pretty easy. I figured out what our problems were from yesterday. Way not RTG? What is that? Why not RTG from old smoke detectors? What? Well, it's a solder burn when you're plugging wires into 120 volts. I had a boss of mine one time when I was doing testing, like electronics testing to make sure that all the microcontroller stuff worked in an audio device. And the boss is telling me about going over to his friends, and his friend had a speaker with the wires, you know, stripped on. And he said, hey, want to hear what electricity sounds like? And he plugs it into the wall. And the speaker went, and then dead. A nice 60 hertz, very strong hum, and then dead. Nice simple 1970s project, part 1. Just find a 4,000 volt transformer and wire it up to mains. Those electronics magazines were completely irresponsible, and we ran into this with my giant tome of electronics circuits. And I thought that the giant tome of electronics circuits would actually be somewhat informative on things that we could build in the shop to make cool circuits. But the tome is from like 1982. It's like a year older than I am. And it had no details at all whatsoever in any of these projects, and they all require like 60 volts AC and shit. We ran into a project that literally was like, hey, here's a cool thing you can do with a nuclear bomb detonator. It was a piece of a vacuum tube electronics that was designed to kick off a very high voltage, high current signal at a moment's notice. Because one of the big things about a nuclear bomb is, and maybe I shouldn't just talk about this on my stream, you want to compress all that shit. And if you have a little bit of that doesn't go off just in the right time, you're going to make basically a fire hose of the shit you're trying to compress. So you compress everybody all at once. And so one of the hardest parts about the nuclear bomb is getting that timing right. And so what they have is a vacuum tube that's not a triode. I don't remember exactly what it was. Like a flash bulb set off thing that hits all at once. Crazy, just crazy. I Googled it for you. Radioisotope. Yeah, and it's radioactive. And so this magazine, that was oddly apropos emotes that are somewhat weird. This fucking magazine was like, hey, just grab one of these things and you can do this cool high voltage trigger project. Where do I get one of those that doesn't put me on a list? Like, hello? Things were irresponsible back then. Let me go scrape some radioactive material off of my chemistry set, my child's chemistry set. Insane. But yeah, so we tried a bunch of the circuits out of that big tome because that would be really fun, right? If we could just flip to a page and go, that's a cool circuit, let me build it. And I would be like, oh, okay, I can sub in some of these parts and these parts and these parts. But no, back then, everything was like kill you voltages. Everything was like permanent injury levels of voltages in all these circuits. You would build them on a block of wood and screw your components down onto the block of wood and then connect everything with probably big solid wires. And then you'd cackle as the Jacob's ladder, thing went off. The watches with glowing hands that all the ladies dipped the brushes on their tongues, and everyone got throat cancer. Hooray! And we're returning to that kind of time, huh? Let's deregulate everything. Awesome. Hey, I'm going to put a radioisotope in this watch that I'm producing. Can we deregulate some of these safety protocols so that I can have my workers dip the paintbrush on their tongue? Yeah. Good times. Good times. Let's return to them. Let's wind back the clock on literally fucking everything. Awesome. But that book, I mean, there were multiple instances of that happening. It was very, very frustrating to try to go through and say, hey, I want to build that. Because then something would trip me up. Or they just straight up wouldn't give you enough information. There was one that was this handy looking circuit, but it relied on like 6 other different circuits from that magazine. And if you look at it in the book, it looks kind of cromulent. Like it looks like it's probably something that you could build, but that wasn't the whole story. And so you trace it back to the original publication and you end up in the weird corner of Google where it's like PDF files that have been scanned so that the whole of human knowledge can be plugged into a fucking search engine. But you find those things and they go, hey, actually we're referencing last week's project and the week before's project, and the week before you're like, what is all this stuff? And it turns out it's like 65 circuits that you have to build in order to make something that makes like a 1 kilohertz waveform. Like, sounds like the book Encyclopedia of Electronic Circuits. I forget the title. It's in the other room. I'll get it one day. But that may be what that is. Yeah. It's just so annoying that like these circuits weren't something that you could immediately engage with. You know, given an entire shop worth of electronics that I have here, I've tried to get as many of the Jelly Bean parts as I thought necessary, but we're kind of specialized. We do microcontrollers and we do like synthesizers. So I've got lots of parts for doing that kind of stuff, which I thought would bleed over to 1970s, early 80s analog electronics hobbyist circuits, but it doesn't. YouTubers may notice that there is it's like 5 inches thick. I've heard that before. But yes, it is, yes. Synths on the CAN bus. Okay, that's can joke count. 1. Being able to joke count. 1. Get them all out of the way, everybody. I don't really see the CAN bus doing anything for modular synths unless you built something that made funny noises when you plug it into a car, which would be kind of funny, but at the same time, I don't know. The high-speed digital intercommunications of units, while that may sound good for something that's modular, like a synthesizer, like a modular synthesizer, the point of the modular synthesizer is that the modules are on their own and you're plugging everybody into everybody else's UC, not based on like a protocol. So I don't really see it being too functional unless you're doing something silly. My DJI DIY drone has a CAN bus. So does my 3D printer. And that's what we're actually going to base some of what we do today on. Let me see if I can grab the tab from my other computer. Oh no, you know what? These aren't linked by an account. Okay, I've got to find the tutorial. Hold on. Actually, Shorts linked it in my stream projects section, but the people who are commenting in my stream projects section don't watch my stream. And so maybe they've kind of forgotten that stream projects is supposed to be on topic so that I can scroll up and find links from the discussions that we have in there. People seem to forget. Where was I talking to Short Lurker about this stuff? Let's see. It was a little while ago. It was after last stream, actually, I think. Or the stream before last. And, you know, the discussion does kind of, like, go out of control, but it's when I see comments of people who comment just because other people are commenting, that's when the brain vein goes off, and I gotta be like, stop it. That's the BMW shifter project. That one's going to be relevant soon too. Because what we can do once we actually get CAN like rolling, we could plug it into the shifter that I have, and that has some known signals that I can send out. They use them in they use them in pacemakers. Why? What? I know Groovy's pacemaker is a crazy thing, because he'll go in and to get like a software update on it. And while they're updating the software, his heart isn't working. So he has to sit there and basically die and then come back to life because the pacemaker's like, oh yeah, the heart, boop, 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 boop. And the heart's like, ah, blah, 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 blah. But like, holy shit, dude. Post office delivered my PIC programmer to the wrong address. Oh no. Did you get a picture of somebody else's like front door? It works in use for the pacemaker. Why does a pacemaker need a controller area network though? I guess I don't know nothing about pacemaking though. I know it's setting off little electrical pulses, but just don't get cremated. Well, the Canada Post doesn't take photos. I see. Every time I send something to Canada, there's like a huge premium for doing so. It could be I can ship something across the continental United States all the way to California for like dollars, but as soon as, even if it's a third of the distance, if it crosses that border, all of a sudden it's $20 extra. And that was before all this bullshit's happening. And so now I'm guessing it's going to be completely prohibitively expensive. It sucks. You guys might as well be the moon. You think they would have a backup system in there? No, you guys are Canadians. The backup system is that you guys are all just like polite to a fault. Hey bud, this thing dropped off at my door. and they would put it on your door, and that would solve the issue. There's no need for photos or, any of that shit. We're the moon, but you guys are the sun. Yeah, and that would be completely detrimental to head our way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think they would have a backup? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I read that. It's bullshit. All instructions assume a default Raspbian install. We already have some of this stuff implemented, so I don't know what the hell's going to happen when we go through these steps, but WaveShare RS-45 or similar CAN-HAT interface up and running. So this is sent to me by Short Lurker, who is one of the older friends of the show, and basically he's the one with his hand on the button. If I go fucking crazy and I start like railing off about like cancel culture and how I'm gonna like, blow up the moon. I don't know. We were just talking about the moon. If I go completely insane and like all kinds of horrible stuff comes out about me, he can pull the plug on the Discord and destroy it. He's my external safety measure in case I go insane and I start messing everything up. Which, not gonna happen, but still, just in case. Anyway, so he's always just had a wealth of information about everything. And recently, in the past like 2 years, we upgraded all of our printers to use CAN bus, because with CAN bus, you need 4 wires going to the hot end, right? 4 wires going to the hot end is great. That saves us a lot of space and a lot of aggravation troubleshooting things. And everything is happening on the CAN bus on the hot end, including having an accelerometer just in case you wanted to do some vibration tuning of the hot end, which I wanted to do, I haven't gotten around to yet. Anyway, so CAN bus is pretty awesome on the 3D printer for projects where you've got a lot of stuff that needs to communicate with one another. It's like a good protocol. Like, it can get really, really fast. In our case, we're dealing with automotive parts, so CAN bus makes a lot of sense. But when I started looking into it, I didn't really have much information, and I started from like square one, and Short Lurker was like, hey, wait a sec, we've already done this. So he sent me this tutorial for Clipper CAN bus, and the initial steps are getting one of these CAN-HATs working with the Raspberry Pi Raspbian. So that's exactly what we wanted to do last stream. You think they would have had a backup system in there so it would take over while updating? Right, even the Arduino from its inception would take the code from TX and RX, put it into memory segments, do some fault checks on it, and then on the next startup, it would say, hey, we're gonna actually move this into our main memory and implement it and then run it. That's what the Arduino does. That's what the bootloader does. So why does Groovy something have to sit there and almost die when they're updating the software on his pacemaker? I think most of the time, these are like, you can think of them like, like an aircraft carrier's electronic system where it's old. Everything in there is old because it's vetted out and it's known. It's known how it fails, it knows how it works, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because you can't have an oopsie poopsie on a pacemaker, right? Whoops, we had a little memory leak. Oh, well, because people die, like, right? So you have to have relatively old shit. And so they're probably like really, really vetted out. I don't know. It seems like a solvable problem to not have the person almost pass out on the doctor's desk. But then again, we're not considering, this isn't on, because I've had this explanation before. I could just program a traffic light with an Arduino. No, you can't. You can make something that mimics what a traffic light does, but a traffic light has a lot of redundancy and very strong systems. And because when a traffic light fails, people die. In this case, if the pacemaker fails, the patient absolutely dies, like 100%. Traffic light, if it breaks, people might die. It's crazy though. Oops, we bricked it. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. That's scary, man. When it was recognized that the heat source would not remain intact during cremation, the program was canceled in 1972. Wait, the what? Units would not be cremated with the user's body. Oh my God, it's a pacemaker being cremated with the user's body. Oh, the atomic, it had an atomic something? Small plutonium cells. So they're 238 PU, ew, powered by RTGs. So they had an atomic battery and patients would get cremated. Oh my God. That's like the old C cells that would say, hey, dispose of them in your fireplace and the cool flames will change color and it'll get the creosote off of the walls of your fireplace. So take your C batteries and just toss them in the fire. Here, where is that? I could find that. Don't AI. You shouldn't do that. Shut up, AI. A lot of pictures of fires. A lot of Well, there was something. They definitely don't want that to be your first Google result because everybody is being monitored at all times for good and bad behavior. And so if we act a little badly and try to pull up something that's embarrassing from the past, that would hurt morale. And so we can't have that. And then somebody will pull it up and they'll say, that's absolutely what you should do because we argue about everything on the internet now. Burn old flashlight batteries in the fireplace now and then. The burning zinc may help prevent, May is doing a lot of work in this sentence, may help prevent soot formation, and the metals and chemicals make colorful flames. Now that I've said that, it's going to get like clipped or something, and then AI is going to end up burning a C battery at some point. Yeah, look at all the pretty colors. Why does breathing hurt? It'll clear out your fireplace. And then whoever gets to clean your fireplace gets to get super cancer. Of course, nowadays there's different chemicals in, you know, we're not, I think you can still get permanent cell batteries like that. But I mean, a lot of batteries are like lithium and stuff. I've got to dispose of a bunch of batteries. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with all my lithium batteries that don't end up like this. Is that AI? Looks like, yeah, it kind of looks like it's AI. Yeah, I've just got a whole bin full of lithium batteries. I got to figure out when the town collection is. What the? Somebody said idea. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I don't think it produces pretty colors. More like explosions and bad fumes. Actually, because I may have done this before. I think it's negative terminal. It might be the positive terminal. It's like the cap of the battery, and then there's a long rod that goes down into the cell, which is coiled around. And so what'll happen is in the expansion of all the gases, that little thing will come off and then pop off, and then there's a bigger opening that doesn't make it a bomb, and then it'll just start shitting fire out of one end. What's up, Ryan Labs? We're talking about burning batteries. Batteries in the fire, great idea. Yeah, it's I don't know, some magazine or something suggested it way back in the day. I'm gonna burp. Okay, I burped. I don't know, you guys are the worst in encouraging bad behavior from me. And so I don't think I'm gonna do it yet. I'm gonna really try to kind of sit on my hands and not touch it. Yeah, anyway, car seat sim. Yeah, let's change the subject. I really kind of want to buy another seat base because the computer for the car can control, what is it? Lateral, tilt, height, that's 3. Seat back tilt, 4. Headrest, 5. And then the 6th would be the motor for the lumbar support, right? So it can control up to 6 DC motors, right? That run off of 12 volts. 6 DC motors. If I get another seat base and I have another computer that works off of CAN, you know, this, I'm gonna make myself a little bigger. I'm kind of vain today. But if I have another one, so this is another 6 controls, I've got 3 in another seat base, and then I've got steering wheel height and then length. So that's 5. So I can control 5 extra motors with this thing, right? That seat base would be mounted upside down, and it would hold the pedals so that the pedals could be adjusted with height, tilt, and then lateral depth. How cool would that be? You can get them for about $60. The shipping is pretty expensive. So I don't know if I'm not going to implement this right away. It would be very, very cool though. What, the battery disposal things? They also said yeah, dispose of used motor oil by digging a hole and filling with rocks. Yeah, a friend of mine knew of a couple of those old dumps in New Jersey in people's backyards where they would dump motor oil into the soil. And it's somebody else's problem at that point. Adjustable pedal units, it's an APU. Yeah, I thought that would be really cool though. Because then the stuff that chat could do would be funnier at that point, right? Because if I'm doing something else and you guys catch me off guard, you could move the pedals away, and then I'd go to hit them and they wouldn't be there. They would have moved laterally too far away. Be very, very funny. I think it would be. I don't have another control panel though. That's the other part. It would have to be a purely CAN bus adjustment. My batteries plus will take my batteries for free. And then if you go to any like car store, you can just give them your used motor oil. Sometimes they'll just point you to a place where you can dump it in the back into a barrel. And they have a used motor oil heater in the facility that they use that on. So Bother needs to build a motion seat contraption. I have one linear actuator that is perfect for that. I would need 5 more. The only problem is that linear actuator. On the last time I saw one of that ilk on eBay, it was $6,000. So, Father, why didn't you sell your one linear actuator? I would love to do that, but that's thing's worth fucking $6,000. It's got to be awesome, right? I want to use it for something. I don't know what yet, but I was thinking like my desk. I could maybe make my work desk be like a standing room desk, so I could just beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, and just move it up and down. But I don't know, man. Maybe I could make the ultimate jag-off machine. No, I'm not going to do that. That motor can kill you. It's a 300 volt motor. Yeah, 3-phase, 300 volts. The Granite Devices controller can control it. The one that I have, the $500 I spent on that thing. That was when Burn the Subs money was flowing in. A $6,000 oh bother yes shooter. What? I could put a boxing glove on it and you guys could punch the shit out of me, which I know you guys want to do. I just don't, I'm not enabling that here. Wasteful. Sit, stand, desk, waste of time. Use it once and then never again. I had a standing desk when I had the medical device design job. That kept me honest because I really needed to lose weight and standing was kind of difficult for me. I'm probably the same weight. Oh yeah, the emoji shooter. Still thinking about that. I think what we need to do is put a little mechanism on it so that it has like a little kicker, and then it'll be able to, you know, plunk the emotes properly. We just haven't had time to get back to that. I have a lot of projects on the fires right now. I know I'm sitting here fucking around with you guys and not actually streaming. Do I get in trouble for curses with YouTube? Supposedly I don't. Supposedly I don't. You saw my desk computer I made. I only use it to adjust sitting positions sometimes. I never go into standing mode. Well, okay, so the other thing about a standing height desk is that I could have a desk chair that is as tall as these desks. And so I can wheel myself over to the other desk. It'll be at the same height, right? Because you have 30 inches and then you have whatever the hell desk height this thing is. And this thing, this desk right here that I'm at is something you can work standing or sitting on a stool, which is important. My stool. So having a work desk that's at that height, that might be advantageous. Although it would scare the ever-loving fuck out of Willow, my poor fluffy corgi. She's hanging out with the neighbor's dog right now in the front hallway. I took them on a walk and that was like the most accursed rhythm dancer technique. I had to do spins and then transfer the 2 leashes behind me because they kept crisscrossing each other. These 2 like adorable little corgis, just going in every single, they were like atoms. They were probabilistic positions of the corgis at that point. There was a corgi cloud where they might exist at any given point in time, but if I observe them, that makes it real. Until then, it's a probabilistic cloud. But yeah, that was walking the 2 corgis. So I'm like, my arms are exhausted right now. Good for exercise, but we're helping our neighbor out because she had to work all day. And so the 2 dogs are feeding off of each other's energies. Willow has this very strong fear of missing out, and so she is like extra desperate. If you pat the one dog on the head, the other one comes up to you like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, pat me on the head. It's like, I promise you that I will treat you two equally. You do not have to be a crazy dog. Willow's used to being alone, lonely, an only dog. God, that's easy to say one instead of the other, huh? CAN bus, Corgi Attention Network bus. I am sending this head pat down the line. What's that, the first 30 seconds? What did Ryan Ladd say? Wait. Oh, I love this song, by the way. I should find it outside of this mix. I turned down those speakers, so I can't quite hear the music that I'm playing to you right now. Although it's at a very low volume, so you guys probably can barely hear it too. I'm babbling a little bit, sorry. Car door poppers are a good two-way plunger. Oh, the car door poppers. Right, because they can pull in a spring and then release that spring, right? Being the IED job, familiarized myself with car door poppers, because when you get those, you get a handy little 433 megahertz remote with it. And anything that can be triggered remotely is an IED. So, yeah. So I do know car door poppers, and I think maybe that's probably what I was thinking of when I thought, like, what could the linear actuator do to help me? It seems like most of these systems are similar to how, what is it called? The alternative to paintball? The little plastic balls that people shoot at each other and go, you didn't hit me, I didn't feel anything. No, I hit you, I saw it bounce off of you. Airsoft. Aircraft. Aircraft. It's not whales again? What? Whales? I'm so confused. Sounds like Taiko. Okay, so it feels like elevator music. No, it's better than to use. This is more soul is put into this song. You shut your mouth about elevator music. Some elevator music is awesome. Anyway, are you whales from England? Yes, it's me, Joe Whale. I are from Ingerland. Fish and chips, mate. The Money, Money, Money song. Oh, that has a complicated title. Right. No, it's not that. Hail Mary Malin. Yeah, that's right. HM. Sorry, I'm too outside of forum discussions to know acronyms for Hail Mary Malin as a song title as something that I would need to use as an acronym. Oh my God, my glucose levels are going to go psycho from those noodles. Anyway, the airsoft mechanism. The airsoft mechanism is basically like if you put a peg on a wheel, right, and you spin that wheel with a motor, you can then use that peg to compress a spring and then let go of it. And when you do that, you get all of this pent up energy that can then fire something out of the other end, right? That's the mechanism behind airsoft. And there's many different iterations and complications of that mechanism, but that's sort of the simplest way is a peg on a wheel, and that pushes something back and then gets out of the way all at once. And what we were doing is we were using a buttload of electricity, because it's funny, and throwing it at a coil and expecting that coil to be able to flick something up into the air, but the transfer of energy wasn't exactly, we didn't min-max our energy transfers in that one, and while we should have, and we were working on it, having like a spring mechanism on a motor can be pretty fast, and we could make it so that it can just, fucking eject over and over and over and over again and have the things fly up and down. So fully auto Nerf gun ideas in my head that already exists, man. The other way that they do it in Nerf guns is to have two rollers, like a Hot Wheels car launcher, and then you fire the thing in those two rollers, just accelerate it and throw it out the front end. That has been exploited by people making regular sized, like the universal little hobby motor size, but with permanent neodymium magnets that are like super strong. And I bought one of these things. It's a 12-volt motor. It's got huge coils, big tracts of land. It's got huge coils in in the rotor for the motor, to the degree where if you try to move it, it goes clunk. It is the most cogging I've ever seen in a motor like that. We powered one up and it is frightening. Basically, you're dumping all this energy into the motor and making it spin like mad, and then you put a Nerf dart into the equation and apparently makes it psychotic. And those are like a common mod for those things. It's scary. My automated Nerf gun uses an electric flywheel that the projectiles are pressed against with a spring from a magazine. Yeah, and I think that's what they're exploiting with those big motors. The one that I had that I wish I'd kept, there was a little desktop like Nerf launcher, and I think what it was doing is just pulling back a plunger on a spring and letting go, and it would fire just a little dart. And you could adjust it in X and Y. And so if I did a takeover of the thing, I could turn it into a Internet of Things thing, and then give it to you guys so that you would have a little turret sitting on the desk here, and you could fire a shot and it would miss. And then if you have enough channel points and move it, you know, do stuff like that. We can maybe get back to that, but I looked them up. I couldn't really find one anymore. I don't know if they still have it. Yeah, I remember ThinkGeek. Yeah, I did a Reddit gift exchange and somebody sent me one and I went, oh, that's so trite. Let's send the content creator a little Nerf dart thing. And then like, here we are 15 years later and I'm going, man, that would be such an easy project. That would be a one stream project. All right, we've been shooting the shit for almost an hour. So I'm gonna cut off right before we hit an hour. And then I'm gonna say, oh, I'm so inconsistent with how long I do the pre-stream. But the pre-stream, I should explain because people always ask, I don't know why they always ask why the stream hasn't started yet if I am streaming currently. And I think maybe you are a little bit flummoxed, befuddled, discombobulated. There we go. That's the one I probably should use. You guys are probably a little discombobulated about terminology here. For me, streaming, when I'm actually streaming, I am working on the project with you guys and we're having fun with that. The pre-part of the stream is still streaming, but it's me allowing people to show up in the middle of the conversation, and it's a low stakes conversation. People can show up and then I explain what the project is and then we get into the project. It keeps people from asking what we're doing, because I used to get asked a lot what we were doing. Now I still get asked it, but it's a little different now. Now, right now, my glucose level is going absolutely psycho, so I want to check in with that a little bit. Usually, as of the beginning of the new medications, what I would do is I would take the noodles from the ramen and I would split them in half, and I would only have half of the noodles. And I didn't do that today, and I think it was a dumb thing. I think that was a dumb thing, because I'm starting to feel hyperglycemic. And I am, in fact, only a little bit, and it does appear to be kind of tapering off. Let's see what AAPS has to suggest for me. You need 8 units of it. Jesus Christ. All right, we're going to do that 8, and then we'll see if that causes a low spike. All right, anyway, hopefully that gets under control. I don't like feeling hyperglycemic now. I've been so well under control for the past couple months that my normal is totally normal, right? And I've been able to keep myself from going hyperglycemic after decent meals, but that was much larger of a meal than I gave it credit for. So USB missile launcher, I see images. I can't find a store with them. That was a fun toy I need again. Yeah, we looked it up the other day in the other stream, and we weren't able to find anything. What's up, Hedonica? How you doing? We weren't able to find them, and I don't know why they kind of fell away in popularity. They still existed, I think, but they were really expensive because there were not many. So anyway, the project today, all that stuff that we were looking up last stream, all the CAN bus stuff that was related to the specific functions of one of these BMW F10 seats, it turns out that information was completely correct. Our pigtail, the thing that plugs into this, was the inaccurate one because it was from a different model car. So when I looked up BMW F10 pinout for this, the stuff we were looking at was completely accurate. And so we know what all these pins are. Now, those other diagrams that we were looking for, we're carring again? Yes. Listen, I ordered some frame rails. And they're a little bit big, but they're supposed to, you know, support the entirety of my dumbass is supposed to be supported on these rails. And the longer they get, the weaker they get. So I figured I had to use the 40mm flavor. in order to make myself a frame that I could mount this seat to. My brother is as much of a car guy as I am, except that my brother is more of like a earlier car guy. He knows how to buy the stuff and use all the electronics, but I'm the one who knows like exactly how the electronics are working, like the nitty gritty of that you don't necessarily need to know in order to be a car guy. But he bought a coworker's BMW and he said, hey, this interior, I kind of want to swap it for this other one that I found in the junkyard. And so he did. I don't know why he kept everything, but he kept everything. He could probably sell the pieces individually and make a small fortune. He's probably not thinking on that level because he already, has a really good job, so whatever. But he shows up at Thanksgiving and goes, hey, you want a chair? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to say no to a BMW sports seat. I think this is the lowest trim level of the M5 of its generation. There's no whistles or bells on this. This is the sports seat. It's not the comfort seat that everybody is after. The comfort seat, while it would be cool, is not really all that necessary. I'm glad to have this. These sell for a couple $100 to like, a handful of hundreds of bucks. Yeah, listen, the philosophy with when you're talking to car guys and they say, hey, do you want? You never say no. Now with computer guys, they say, do you want my old power supply? And you go, why don't you shove it up your ass first? Because you don't want old computer power supply. I don't have any use for them. You like electricity? Do you want a power supply? No, I don't. No, it's completely fucking useless to me because it's unreliable. I don't know what you did with it. You probably pissed on it. And it just like, it's pointless. I've got power supplies that are 10 times better than that thing. Even if it's a kilowatt power supply, I'd rather buy new than get your old one that has some reason that you're not using it anymore. It sucks. I have to field that text message like almost daily with my friends. It sucks. Anyway, if somebody in car circles says, hey, do you want? You say yes. That's how I got the Porsche 356. Is that the right number? I think that's the right number. Kit car. It was a VW Bug kit car that I think my great uncle built when I was born in the early 80s, and he daily drove that thing. My brother has it now. We sell it to each other for $1 periodically, depending on our living situation. So he's got the big garage, so I sold it to him for $1. And now he's like fixed that thing up completely. He did a really good job on it. But that's why we have it, is because you just say yes. And so my brother was like, I don't know what to do with all this interior stuff that I have left over. And I'm like, I've got all the simulator stuff. That'd be pretty cool if I could get a real car seat. He's like, all right, I'll take it. I'll give you it. So that was awesome of him. But it was like dropping a baby off on my doorstep. This thing is a lot of responsibility. And it turns out these BMW F10 chairs, in my research, people love them. They love them. They put them in classic cars. They put them in their sim setups. All you have to do, because this car seat is almost entirely electronic, you buy the whole seat, including the computer, including the wiring harness and everything like that. This computer will completely run the seat. The controls on the side of the seat talk to this computer exclusively to move it around. This does, however, communicate with the rest of the controller area network of the BMW. It's called the K-CAN bus. The K-CAN bus is for mid to low priority things. There are safety buses. There are like other functional buses. I know this is like an entire goddamn Raspberry Pi controlling a chair. It's comical, but there's safety systems. There's various trim level things that it does. It's got to run all these relays and stuff. I don't know. I guess it makes sense eventually. That's so you can plug your car into a computer and do a full diagnostic on it. Plus, like certain functions of the car, like you want to move the seat mid working on it so that the technician can have their computer plugged in and then still move the seat around, I guess, while unhooking it or something. I don't know. Chair pewter. Oh, thank God I don't have more space. Yeah, because if you get it with this, what'll happen is, because this thing is not an island, it can function on an island, but it's not an island. So what happens is you can control your seat for 10 seconds of power until this thing goes, hey, I must be all alone, and then shuts down, right? It doesn't see anybody else on the network, and it goes, I'm done. It's looking for certain CAN bus signals, like the power and motor start signals. Instead of sending it those, people have discovered that if you get just from Amazon or eBay or Alibaba, you get a 1 kilohertz wave generator. It just makes a square wave at 1 kilohertz, right? And they're adjustable, but you can set it to 1 kilohertz. Or you could do a 555 timer if you're that guy. If you're that guy, you could use a 555 timer, but I think you should probably just fuck off if you... I hate the 5... It's actually a pretty good application for a 555 timer, let's be honest, because it is like a very specific wave rate, and you got to get it kind of close. And it'll... If the 555 timer is subject to absolutely no temperature fluctuations of any sort whatsoever, you don't have to buy a little board off of Amazon and tweak it to the right settings. You can just put the 555 timer onto the CAN bus. Point is, that square wave makes it look like another device in the network is pulling down the CAN bus and trying to communicate, and that'll keep your computer awake. So that's the trick. If you run out to eBay or go to Kmart or whatever and buy yourself a BMW F10 chair that's complete, has the computer on it and everything, the computer is going to have only as much stuff as the accessories dictate, and then you can actually send it that 1 kilohertz signal, and the controls on the side of the seat will be able to move the seat around. That's what most people do for their application. The only thing that bugs me is that the headrest has a motor in it, and there's no controls for that motor on the side panel. They put it somewhere else in the car. Yeah, an AT-Tiny and a 555 are interchangeable, and the AT-Tiny is probably going to be a little bit more temperature accurate with your waveform. Not that it matters. That's just the one case where one is different than the other. So we've been getting this chair up and running and working, right? And one of the big things is that I need to be able to communicate it with CAN bus. Why would you possibly want to do that bother? You have this completely functional chair. Everything on it works except for the headrest. Well, because there's that exception. The headrest does not work. I want to be able to raise and lower the headrest. In addition to that, it would be funny if I was able to give you guys control of the chair. What we're moving... The dogs are barking at the front door. I'm going to roll my eyes like Hassan, and then I'm going to reach for something off camera, and you will hear a button press, and then the dogs will yelp. Now, they're just barking at the door. They're like barking at the UPS guy. I bought some really awesome ratchet hex end things that I'm expecting to come in the mail today, which will make working on this giant-ass frame just a little bit easier. Anyway, yeah, so the point is Hassan's dog. No, the point is actually... our joystick controller, because remember, this whole project is that I am a giant man baby who's trying to build his own luxury car in the shop that I can use to simulate being in a real piece of shit car in Finland, in my winter car. So I have all of this stuff. I have all this stuff, and they're real car parts that I've hooked up to man baby joysticks in order to run like man baby joysticks. And so I want all of these, because this is exactly what the CAN bus was built for, man babies, neckbeards. No, it was built for cars that have a bunch of stuff that's sort of stacked into itself and needs to communicate with each other. So this is exactly why the CAN bus exists. So what we can do is I can make my joysticks, I can polish my joysticks, I can make my joysticks speak CAN bus, I can make any old accessory speak CAN bus, and then I can have a Raspberry Pi, hopefully, sitting on that CAN bus, looking at all the message traffic that's going around and saying, this is the state of this is the state of that, this is the state of this, send messages to things that can emulate HID devices, things that can emulate force feedback devices, etc., etc., etc. I'm hoping to do this with Node-RED, because that way, if I start off a game and I have like, you know, Sex Simulator 2000 and I want to play it on my big simulator setup, so I can be, yeah, this is a great game. What I can do is I can open up a template and then say, I want this button to connect here, this one to connect there, I want this vibrator there, and I can just connect the dots and say go, and then that'll reconfigure and show up as the devices on my main computer, my main man, and that's it, right? Like, that's the whole thing. That'll make it so much easier to just jump into a game and I go, wait a sec, I don't like the way this is, and I can reconfigure it. Do you want a real car pedal with a can out? I got tons of them. Really? That is can out? I like the pedal that I have. It's a BMW pedal. I've got they're sitting all the way over here. Like, I've got a load cell on the brake, and I've got a Hall effect sensor on the clutch, and then the pedal itself is a BMW pedal, which just sends out a voltage. It's like 0 to, or like 1 to 4.8 volts or something, and it's like real easy and simple. I work for a car pedal accelerator company. Oh my God, see Strachan. Most are analog. Yeah, that one's analog. There are ones that do CAN out directly. That's interesting. Well, the thing is, we have a particular CAN bus, right? We have the K CAN bus, and that can either be 100, is it Mbps, or 500, and we need to figure out which one we are first. I've got so little work done into this that we need to do like a little repinning, and then we need to see what CAN bus we have on our stuff. It is tempting, C Strachan, but you don't have to, you know, unless the company wants me to like say, look at this pedal, look at this company. I guarantee you people who are buying electronic pedals are not watching my stream. Although then again, people who make them are, which is an interesting place to be. That's cool. Anything that anybody ever sends to me, you have to negotiate it on Discord, and I'll give you my address reluctantly. And then when you do send something in, that is tantamount to throwing it in the trash. There is a chance that I don't do anything with it. Although, you know, obviously a car pedal is too cool for me not to look at. But like, I've been sent weird stuff before, and I've just not talked about it. And the reason behind that is because I don't want weird stuff sent to me. But people have sent me some legitimately awesome stuff, and I do feature that stuff. So I fell into the job a couple years back, super easy to test pedals, but CAN kicked my butt for a while. Lots of code. Yeah, we're going to have to learn a little bit about it, and there are Arduino libraries and stuff, and I think we will be able to step into it relatively easily. Somebody on the internet has reverse engineered the shifter that my brother gave me. I don't know if I'm going to use it because this is too much like a flipper of some kind. It's like a penguin is sitting on your car, and you're like, I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyway, the up-down, the plus-minus shifter confused me in my summer car, probably because I made it shift too quickly, and it would double shift. And we 3D printed like an actual shifter with gates. And also the little Volvo shifter is much more comfortable than this giant like chicken wing. I don't like this chicken wing. Sister company does shifters out of Chicago. I'm working on that stuff now. Why is it, C Strachan, you've been around the stream for a long time, probably since the first iteration of the steering wheel. Maybe that's what's stuck. Why is this so relevant? That's crazy. We can send weird stuff if you don't want. People who got my address, because I still don't have a PO box. I don't do that. I'm not popular enough, right? If I had more viewers, if we got to my magical mystical 300 viewer that I wish I had, where this would seem more like a career and less like a hobby, if we got to that number, I could justify the expense of a PO box. I would get a PO box just so that I would have an outward facing address where people could send things. Because, you know, sometimes people send you touching stuff. Sometimes they send you weird things, and you look at the box and you're like, why did you send me that? You know, like 500 3D printed Oh Bother remotes. That is both in the weird stuff and the, like, I don't know, I don't know if I'd call that cool. I guess it was okay, but it's a lot of responsibility being dropped off on my door. Aaron's controls. Let's see what controls Aaron has. Aaron. Oh, it's Curtis Wright. I know Curtis Wright. Ah, get out of here. Aaron. Ah, I see. So it's like industrial stuff. Cool. Well, I gotta say, right now I'm a little full up on controllers. It's for like trucking companies. Look at how comfortable that looks. That's so that like a 500-pound trucker can sit there and just get their elbow all up into that cushion and still operate all these things. All the things that the little Playmobil toys would train us on. Push the star and it makes a honking noise. This one makes a rattling noise. That's crazy. That's a lot of cool stuff. Bonk. Okay, anyway, this is my other, that's my other idea, is have the other seat base so that you can adjust the pedals with it, like laterally and stuff. Anyway, the point is, eventually what I can do is strap a big carbon fiber tube to this thing, and I can use it to control my submersible, and we'll finally make it to the Titanic. I would definitely send you weird stuff. Yeah, that scares me. I was gonna send Flatulent Gonad all of my pedal stuff, but Gonad is in England, and he literally just went on British eBay and he typed in "Oi mate" with the number 8, what you got, and it turns out he can get exactly the same kinds of car parts that I can for an eighth of the price. Insane. So he just bought himself like VW pedals and they work perfectly. So I remember a few years ago you had a BMW steering wheel. If I remember, does it still work? Yes. It's actually the original ebay.oi.mate. It's actually the original steering wheel that was on my station wagon. And that's it's hanging up. It's just right behind that beam, so you can't really see it. But I've got that wheel, and then the one that I use is the Mercedes wheel, because the BMW wheel still has its airbag. The airbag is intact and untouched. I'm keeping it that way because if I ever want to sell my car, I want my M wheel. I've got a wheel for a BMW E46M, and putting it into an E39 completely updates the interior. The interior of the E39 is basically the E46 interior, but the E46 got an update to the steering wheel that makes it like nice and thick. I like my nice thick steering wheels, right? We have them cheap here in the EU because those car brands are common here. In the US and Canada, you have much better luck with GM. Yeah, it's just that GM parts suck. They're all cheap. I wanted an expensive luxury wheel, so I bought a Mercedes S-Class of 2010-ish vintage, and it has pedals in the back for shifting in case I want to do pedal shifting. And lucky for me, it's got one singular LIN bus controller and an address that you pull under the LIN bus protocol. We're going to have to make a LIN to CAN adapter for this thing, and I would love to figure out what the LIN bus address and call of a Mercedes is to turn on the backlighting. I haven't been able to find that. If you guys are a little bit more sleuthy on car forums than I am, it's probably known by now. I'm probably able to look it up and get the address. But on the LIN bus, I need to know what signal to send to give a certain amount of backlighting. I could find that in 2 minutes if I was able to plug in, but I love the fact that you're building a sim rig with real car stuff. Here's the thing. People do that all the time, right? They do that all the time. They build their sim rigs with real car parts. That's not totally unheard of. For me, it's about the feel. I am building a sim, I guess a full sim setup now that my brother dropped off this freaking chair, a full sim setup out of luxury car parts. So I'm making myself a luxury car because I'm not a racist. I don't like racing. And so not being a racist and being into just driving cars, what I like to do is sit in a nice comfy luxury car. All right, let's get this thing. I'm remounting the, what you call it, the plug. Does it go the other way around? Maybe it does. That would make sense. So it goes this way. Yep, there we go. Okay. So there's this big yellow plug sitting at the bottom of this thing. What's that? Same with real airplane part flight sims. Those are crazy. Especially the ones where it looks like they just chopped off the front of an airplane. Bother, while I agree the word you're looking for is racer. No, I said I'm not a racist. I don't race cars. I like to drive them. So this plug is everything. On multiple different generations of cars, of BMWs rather, we've got this fancy schmancy big D plug that takes all the signals and I'm a drivist. I'm a drivist. I look down on your drive. You take that road? You're inferior to me. Anyway, so this big yellow plug is everything to this chair. This takes in the K-CAN bus, it takes in power, and then it takes in a bunch of superfluous BS. There's one voltage line that I'm not totally certain about that might need 5 volts independently. I'm not sure. And it's for the side panel on the seat itself, I think. Here's what I found in my research. The stuff that we were looking at yesterday, totally accurate. Certain things are populated or not populated depending on what features your car has. So there are wires that are called power for seat switch. I don't know what power for seat switch means. I think that's for the side of the seat switches. So that'll power up that little board that speaks K-CAN to the main computer. Buckle signal plus, buckle signal minus. That, I believe, is one of these little pigtails that are not plugged in. This one I know is airbag, because specifically that is an airbag connector. And one day when I figure out how I can ship explosives over FedEx, I will cut off this pigtail and give it to Uo's lab, and he can have fun permanently ruining his hearing by setting off a bunch of my old detonators. I wish I was into flight sims. I imagine making a cockpit would be super fun. Yeah, well, dude, that's part of what we're doing here. Why are you guys looking at me at that angle? It's really weird. It's like you have your head on my chest. I've got a bunch of flight sim stuff here too, and pedals that are sitting in a bin over there. And I would like to incorporate them into this setup so that I can have all the joysticks and all the, you know, whatever else. When you crash in your sim, your airbag should go off. I was considering that if I put compressed air on the airbags. But if you look at like crappy movies, the way that they do that and having like an airbag go off in your actor's face, it's always a silk bag. It's never an actual airbag material, because the airbag material and the airbag system is designed to save your life and nothing short of it. So they will injure you. They will hurt you. They will damage your hearing, but you're alive, right? I don't want any of that stuff around me when I'm sitting down here. So we took the airbag detonator out. We disarmed it to the best of my abilities. I took all the airbag stuff away from it. So it is just a pressure detonator that'll ruin my hearing. You guys have probably seen it before. It's the dudes who were, the grenade airbags that were recalled. Famously, shops had to get rid of all the airbags, and so they'd sit there detonating them over and over again. And so some chuckle fuck got the idea of sitting on top of the airbag when they set it off, and it put them like 4 feet in the air, 5-6 feet in the air. He fell back down and probably busted his tailbone. I don't want anything like that around me. Okay? I don't want the pneumatics, the whatever that is. That's not pneumatics, is it? Yeah, I think it is. What's the other one? Hydraulics. Yeah, I don't want the pneumatics around me. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. Fun trivia for you: the airbags are assembled by prison labor here in Germany. Huh. Well, I'm sure they're thorough. Germans are very thorough about everything they do, right? I'm sure they're very thorough about it. We have some pins here that we're not using, right? We've got the seatbelt pins. This one is the green and orange/green wires are the K-CAN bus. That's everything. If we look at all the wiring diagrams that we were looking at yesterday, it's literally power from fuse and then K-CAN. That does every system. And the only reason that the systems are listed off separately is it used to be separate fuse lines would control those things and you have manual controls for it. Now it's just power to the computer, and the computer does everything else with all those systems. And so there are K-CAN signals that I can send in that will hopefully do some overrides on those too. RT, which we figure is red thick wire and brown, the two big wires that go in there, those are the power for the whole system, because it's like 2 amps per controller thing. Then we have stuff that comes from KOSBF. I don't know what that is. Crash and seat basket, or seat bolster. Crash and seat bolster. So it's something like the crash airbag system on the yellow and brown wire. And then we have the yellow red and the yellow brown, which are these right here. And those are apparently the seatbelt tugger. It's the thing that enables you, it tightens your seatbelt up during a crash. Volvo uses explosive systems to do this. I don't know if other people are using motors or if they're all using a detonator to do it, but it's a fairly minimalistic amount of systems here. It's basically your crash controller is one thing, and that's got multiple wires going out to the seat. Then we have something about the buttons, the seat belt, whether it's buckled or not, and then power in and K-CAN. It's not all that much stuff. If my apartment was not 500 square feet, I would build a triple screen sim racing rig. Mine's going to be a single screen because I can't afford at the moment anything more. I've got enough screens in this room. It's kind of crazy. I've got 5. This is going to be the 6th. But, whatever. I do what I can with what I have. This was very expensive. These rails were very expensive. And I'm going to probably chop them up to make this a little bit smaller. This is currently a little too big. I need to take like 40 millimeter off of the sides of these. And then I need to take 1 foot off of those. And then I think everything will be just about the right size so that this can be a decently minimal setup. And using the rails means that I'll be able to like remove the entire armrest and put a different one on if I feel like doing that. But we'll have to see. In order to make the steering wheel adjustable, I had to buy the entire drive shaft, the entire steering shaft of a Mercedes-Benz that has the motors on it. Is $20, but still, it's, yeah. Aluminum rigs are so expensive. The rails have gotten incredibly expensive. If you're not in America, I would suggest you take a look at like JLC and their industrial supply, because JLC's industrial supply has the lowest price. Their shipping is crazy, and I'm wondering if I probably should have put in for all these rail lengths and seen, even with the ridiculous shipping, if that would be still cheaper. I went with McMaster-Carr. After shopping around everywhere, McMaster-Carr turns out to be the cheapest option for America if you can't go and pick it up and you wanted to get it during the holiday season. Just got some 10-year-old $20 144 Hertz motors from Craigslist. What? So yeah, anyway, we're working towards it. I'm working towards it. I made the big plunge and I bought the rails over the holiday season. Let's get this thing pinned out properly. We don't quite have the right pins for my generation, and I would like them to be the proper ones. And we also don't need the airbag pins, and I'm also tangled up in my own light. How did that happen? Answer me this. How did that get under there? What? Man, I feel hyperglycemic right now. I hate it. Okay, I'm trying to get my stool back over, but the stool's legs are tangled in the aluminum frame rail that I have sitting on my, oh my God. Will there ever be a synthesizer interface for musical purposes? Yeah, I don't know. That would be kind of neat. Leading to travel, well, like a go-kart. I hate that feeling. Yeah, it's just like, yeah. Okay, so these are like completely reconfigurable. They're kind of crazy. These connectors, I need to just get the zip tie off of it, which, if you recall, we don't have a lot of zip ties floating around the shop for some reason. Anything 3D Vision comparable is, I don't know what that is. Recently decent, make sure it has a VESA mount. Oh, 3D Vision compatible? No thanks. No. I have an extra monitor. It's the one that I would schlep over to LAN parties. And so that monitor is gonna go onto this rig. Now, people build these big aluminum frame rail rigs to hold up the 3 monitors, and it's a whole big deal. I'm not gonna do that. I have a positional arm that I can use to mount the monitor to. And if I tighten up all the connections, hopefully it doesn't wobble around too much when I'm using the rig. Everything is pretty like calm and seated nicely on the rig, so it's a decent panel. I'm not going to worry about the monitor right now, though. That's the least of my concerns. We have a lot of work to do to get the rest of the system functioning. Now, how does this thing? It looks like the whole thing comes out. So if I stab myself with a screwdriver, if I put a little pressure on that and get the 2 tabs, I think maybe the whole thing comes out. These are like really reconfigurable, these plugs. They're quite fungible. And so what we can do is we can minimize the amount of connections that we've got on this end. Is there anything else holding it in? Doesn't look like it. I think it's just fighting me a little bit because it's a 2-clip system. Always love these 2-clip systems, just like IDC connectors, where they kind of fight you to the last breath and then they completely disassemble. Don't draw blood, no promises. I don't make no promises. I'm missing something. I gotta be missing something here. Like, never tug on the wires. Never tug on the wires. That's a big no-no. This thing is just for, the BMWs and maybe other companies are doing this these days, but they always have these levers on the electrical connections, and I love it. I actually love it because it means you don't have to wrench on the body of the connector or anything. All you need to do is actuate the lever, and it's going to be putting all the torque that it needs into the thing. And then they can put all kinds of seals and stuff on it, and you're not responsible for creating, 500 Newton meters of force in order to unplug this plug. And then you unplug it and it tears your fingers apart. Cough, cough, Molex, you pieces of shit. Old computer Molexes were the bane of my electrical existence. What am I missing here? Oh, wait, what's this? I think that's just an indexing plug, but it might be a snap. Let's see. Let's go under the microscope. I don't think that's just indexing. I think that might be a snippy snap. I mean, it's not long for this world if it's what's holding us back. Oops. Amphenol's guilty of that one too. Man, those old Molexes are the worst. The worst of the worst. And then I found out, well, at least nowadays with 3D printing, you can print out helpers that'll help you unplug those things. And they had a tool for that back in the day too, but I should have bought. So many minor finger injuries. What am I missing here? I don't think I'm missing anything. I think this thing is supposed to just be sliding out of its position right now. Or is something back here holding it in? Is it something where I have to like part the C here and then it'll fly forward? I don't feel any catches. Or if I just push from there and release the other two. Every time I search for a connector at work and land on Amphenol, now we can't afford that. Oh God, all those specialized industrial connectors that are like thousands of dollars. One of my favorite connectors is like that. It's a little RF connector that's like, there we go, that's like small. And I looked it up and it looks like a D-sub, like a miniature D-sub connector. I can't tuck the stool in closer to the desk. I have to work like just barely uncomfortably far away. I'd belly up to the bar here, but the stool is caught on the giant piece of frame rail on the bottom here because I had to have two of the legs outside and two inside. And then the other stool's locked up right here with the chair itself because I want to eventually get this in like a desk setup where we have the seat hooked up over here with the Arduino, or sorry, with the Raspberry Pi, so we can, manipulate the signals to it live. But I'm like, I can't get close enough to work on this stuff. Let's try that. There, that's a little better. I'm very particular about where everything is positioned. All right, so things that we don't need. We probably still need power to the panel. Back once again with the Renegade Master. People Damager. Power to the panel. Back once again. Okay, so red with a white stripe in position. Oh, they've got numbers. Look at that. Number 1. Here's the thing about like the more nice and expensive your connector gets, or IDC cables, is that they will often emboss numbers in them to help you out. It's lucky if they do, but they do sometimes do that. Let me get my pin tool here to point at stuff. So we are lucky enough that they give us the, oh, what happened to this thing? Ooh, hold on, nasty. Why are you disgusting? I can hear both dogs marching around upstairs. Why did Frill scratch their name into this? Front right, left front. Yeah, I've got 2 corgis upstairs. They're both long hair. Our neighbor's dog is here at summer camp. So, direction we're sliding this mofo in, pin number 1, pin number 16, and then the numbering scheme gets crazy. So they give you the numbers of all of the pins. That's pretty cool. Most of this stuff is useless. Most of this stuff is like airbags and stuff, so we can get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah, like that's your, is that seat belt? Active belt. So this is the seat belt puller. And we don't have any of these things on our harness, But like maybe one day I'll want to use some of the wires that are already on there. So I will depin this connector, but I'm not going to depin the other one. So this is our glorious KCAN message. So we've got pin 1 RT. For some reason we've got a white stripe on that, but that's power to the panel. Back once again for the Renegade Master. Then we have KCAN, high and low. Power. Useless! So we'll get rid of all this stuff. And then we'll be done. That's all we have to do. So for that, we just push down the little pop-up part. Looks like we're gonna have to pull it at the same time though. When will we find Ethernet-only harnesses? Are they Ethernet on Teslas? That seems a little weird. Solid core wire is not really a great idea in an automotive application because you're talking about something that vibrates. Something mom joke. You're talking about something that vibrates, and so you don't really want a solid core wire because if there's a pinch point anywhere on that, it could potentially make a flexing scenario. Whereas these stranded core will sort of like arrange itself around turns. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm probably talking real rare cases here, but especially on something that moves like a seat. Like if you got the seat moving forward and backwards a lot, and you've got Ethernet wire, that's not going to be a good scenario. They've probably thought of this because they're not as dumb as I am. I can sit here and critique engineering all day, but the fact of the matter is a lot goes into every decision, and it's way more than I could potentially consider in just sitting here in my armchair. This has some kind of a grease on it. Ugh. So yeah, depinning on automotive applications is like easy and fun. You could have the whole family doing it. Yeah, automotive, you have these really complicated crimps. Like we've got an environment, my brain is leaking out of my ear. The dogs are currently barking. They're flipping heads off. So what we have in an automotive application is we have a crimped stranded wire that is then crimped to its environmental seal, so that this wire is flexing inside of the rubber. When it flexes, we keep the outside world out, and we're flexing this properly on the jacket of the wire so that it doesn't prematurely wear right here. Because that'll happen with like a solder joint in a car, on the interface where the solder ends and the stranded wire exits. If you're not doing something to mitigate the flexing at the jacket, at the start of the jacket, then that will become the point where it basically frays and explodes, because it's flexing a lot. Crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm just poking this in. I don't really care about saving these wires unless I want to put like a thumper in my seat. If I wanted to put a thumper in my seat, I could hook it up using the yellow wire and then everything's still on the plug. So whenever I see those quick fix cable repair kits where you fix solder and shrink tubing all in one, with the lighter repair, yeah, to repair a cut cable like chocolate. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, those will work for a little while, but I've also seen those in really old cars. I've seen those also be a failure point. So like it wears faster, but it's like the life of the car versus the life of whatever fix you've done, right? Like, oh, this will break in 10 years. Oh man, I gotta unfurl this in order to get all these wires out, don't I? There's a lot of excess wiring here that we're getting rid of, though. That's nice. I guess maybe I'll have to put a different sheath around this thing. Maybe I'll use some spiral wrap instead of this big ol' thingy-wingy. Spiral wrap will probably look nicer, too. I hate this stuff. This fabric. Whatever this stuff is. You can buy it by the reel. I think I used to have a reel of it. But it's basically electrical tape for cars. But they didn't bother to formulate a sticky goo that didn't turn into nasty soup. And so when this thing gets hot, and I mean like cars get really, really hot, but even when this thing gets mildly hot, it turns into this sticky paste that I now have all over my fingers. Take that straight to the copper guy, yeah. Hey, Copperman, can you accept this? I know it looks like I just got it off of a job site. All right, so we're going to take all these off. I'm going to take all these off. We'll put them all back on. Because I'm just going to get rid of this big nasty. Get rid of the big nasty. And then we'll be left with only a couple cables, because all these other ones are completely useless, or for features that were on the next generation of seats. But because of part sharing, all of this stuff fits all of this stuff, which is kind of cool. This is kind of cool, the fact that we're able to do this. Bonk. If it's what you need when you get the car to the repair shop, it's fine, but that's not how people use them. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's the worst feeling. Yeah, because I've gone into old cars that have had many previous owners, and like, why isn't the seatbelt light turning on, for example? And we'll troubleshoot, and then it'll turn out when we rip back the carpet a little bit, there's one of those signature little pieces of shrink wrap over a wire, and it's like, ooh, you bastard, you repaired something, you broke something, and then you repaired it using solder, and now it's broken again. Maybe I could just cut it. Cut it along with the wires. Ooh, I hate doing this. This is how I ended up with a pair of scissors in... There's a medical name for this part of the hand right here. It was in one of those like, hey, look at these parts of the bodies that you've never heard named before. I'm like, I know that. I was opening a can of silly string when I was a kid, and it had packing tape around the top. And so I was going to cut the packing tape off. You know, I could have just done that with the scissors, right? But instead I was going like this, and it slipped, and I went, I think I still have a scar there somewhere. These are precision scissors. They're for cutting things like tapes and stuff, which is this application, but at the same time, I don't think I'm getting that much leverage at the tip, and the fabric is slipping inside. So I can either use a knife, use maybe my wire cutters. The good old Nipex. Yeah, the Nipex will do great. Yep, and that's how I did it right there. Going a repeat of my injury. Hey doc, I'm back. It's been 30 years. All right, so let's get this thing out of here, and we can replace it with a spiral wrap. Oh, I'm actually going the other direction. What? Oh, there's one in the middle. Just using a metal crimp for the fix is trivially easy. Cars could have a set of 10 crimps and ratchet crimper next to the spare tire for repairs. That doesn't happen as much though. Like, you don't have to repair wiring almost at all on any car, any given car. And I think the ones that use fiber optics now actually have a redundant line just in case, because the fiber optic is also not something that should be periodically flexed. I thought that would be awesome. If I ever do like a resto mod, I would love to build up modules, and instead of using, I'd probably still use CAN bus, but use it on an optical network. That'd be so cool. Completely pointless amount of work to do, but I would love it. Okay, so I got all these spare parts. Let's, I guess, put these aside. The rest of these are useful. And then I'm going to get my spiral wrap so we can spiral wrap this and it'll be cooler. I don't know if spiral wrapping it is bad, because it was in a big loose sheath, probably because that allows different areas of the thing to flex. Yeah, I don't know what they're using on the optical lines. I know BMW uses it for their multimedia, but I don't know what protocol they have running through the fiber lines. BMW did it because they didn't want to have a bunch of copper on their entertainment system, but it runs like a loop. So I guess the end controller is looking for its signals to come all the way around back to it, which I find fascinating. I think that would be really fun to do. And I've got a whole bunch of optical network stuff that I could play with. ultimately not all that necessary to do. I just thought it would be fun. Okay, I've got the spiral wrap here. It's just wrapped up in everything. That one I think is too thin. We got to go for this stuff. This stuff will do. Not too thick, not too thin. Gives it a nice chance to flex around while being... Well, actually, the larger stuff might be better. This might be a little constrictive, too. Yeah, maybe I'll find... This stuff is too small. I'm going to go find larger. It's probably Ethernet, to be fair. Could be. Ethernet doesn't require a loop, though. And this stuff, if I recall correctly, it was like a loop of communication for the entertainment system. So it's like movies and stuff, too. Yeah, this might be the right one. I got a lot of spiral wrap. I was on a spiral wrap kick back in the day. And it helps with stuff like this, where we're putting together something that needs to look good as well as feel good. I think this is the appropriate stuff. It's a little larger than the diameter of all the cables, so they'll be able to kind of flex inside of it. Usually when I spiral wrap stuff, I'd like it to like compress the wires a little bit, but in this case, I'll leave it loose around this and then it'll be able to flex nicely. My logic is sound. Remember, if it sounds good, then it probably works, right? If it sounds like the right answer, then it probably is the right answer. Using Ethernet just means it can use the existing SFP modules and OM3 cable. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you're installing like a switch into your car, you know? I'll have to look it up. I wonder if people know stuff. People probably know stuff about it. I've just seen it in a pamphlet. Okay. And now we spiral. We go into a spiral. All of that for five wires. 5 wires that go into the chair, and we have to do all this work. So I should back up and do this method, or just spin the thing. Spin him a thing. What's everybody else got going on? It got quiet over here, and then Willow went, barf! Now she's barking bloody murder. See, not only are they collecting garbage today, they are also doing some kind of leaf blowing now that all the snow's melted. I think they may have not done a complete job before, and they're coming back for the dregs. So I've got dudes with leaf blowers all over the place right now. So we've got garbage and recycling collection. So there's big trucks going around, bonking around, making all this noise. We have leaf blowers, guys with leaf blower backpacks wandering around. We have 2 dogs upstairs who are basically a feedback loop with one another in terms of barking and being crazy about what's going on. There's a lot happening right now. There's a lot of noise and distraction. Oh, and it's like warm out. It's gonna be like 46 Fahrenheit here today. I was outside without a jacket on and I was pretty comfortable in the sun. I might have made this a little too short. Well, now that we only need 5, that makes this a lot simpler. You don't need a switch. You could just connect it directly or make a repeater chain if every device has 2 ports. I think that's what they're doing, is a repeater chain. But then the end of the chain has to go to the master controller so it knows that everything else is hooked up, I guess, which is a little bit weird. For one of my government jobs, we had optical networking in the building. It was pretty cool. They'd run you like a optical network line, and you got like super duper fast speed. All right, so that's actually exactly the right size for this, which concerns me a little bit about when this thing flexes, if it's going to be flexing the wire too much in the same place, in all the same places. But I guess with any luck, it's not really going to need to flex all that much. We'll see. I mean, it is on a moving element, but there's enough wire here that I think it might be okay. Look at that. 5 wires. That's all we needed. All right, so I think, yeah, we can keep it on these big guys. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off of this piece of din rail, and we're going to put it on that little aluminum piece that I have sitting here. Oh, sorry, aluminium. Freaking jerk-offs. Actually, let's use the shorter ones. Yeah, we'll use the shorter ones. So I'm going to take the red one, and then green, gray. That one's brown, so we'll do red and brown to match the wire color. And then we got these two, and then we have another power one. So I don't know what, I don't have another red one. We'll just go with gray. We'll go with gray, why not? Okay, so red und brown. Actually, probably should go with maybe green on that one because the end cap that I have is... Oh no, the end cap I have is black, isn't it? Where is it? Where'd it go? It's around here. Oh, there it is. And this is a ground, but I don't think we need a ground. I could put it to the aluminum rail here, but... Oh, and that's just an end cap too. Yeah, we won't do a ground on this. We're not going to be that crazy about it. So red, brown, and then we'll put the K-can here. Which one is the shortest, actually? Yeah, we'll do these two, and then we'll do K-can 1 and 2. Oops, wrong way. What am I doing? I'm doing it all wrong, and my face is in the way. Oh, make them both gray, I said. That'll work fine, he said. Dumb. Big dumb. Get off of there. There we go. And then we'll be set up with a little mini test bed for everybody. Protected from the elements. Here we go. Just slide those down a little bit. Here. Oh, jeez. Okay, din rail does not like to slide. We'll just leave it as it is. Okay, so get all these connected to the appropriate parts. Yeah, there we go. Cool, now I have a little bench set up. Awesome. We haven't identified which one is can high or low yet, but we need to go through the Raspberry Pi tutorial first. Now that we've corrected all of our wiring woes, we have a DIN rail set up with all our K-can lines, our positive power, and then our button power. And then we have a connector that we can lock and load. That we can lock and... Oh, I see, I'm off. Oh, it's got to be like this. That we can lock and load. And plug into the thing over there. I probably could use a zip tie on this thing, and the only zip ties I have are huge. Let's take one last look to see if I've got zip ties right here in the drawer. In the drawer is what I'm saying. It's right here in the drawer. It's not what you... I wasn't pointing at what you thought I was. I was pointing at something else. It was the drawer. Because, yeah, somewhere in here there are normal-sized small zip ties. I always hate it when somebody uses small and little when they're describing something. They say both. They say this small little thing. And it's like, wait, you just said small. This is redundant. I can't stand for it. Yeah, drawer. I know. I got a Northeast Philly accent, and you guys are the ones that get to deal with it. Whiz wit. Which means cheese whiz with fried onions. I order provolone wid. Provolone wid is provolone cheese on the cheesesteak. A nice melty provolone cheese with fried onions. You want to get the fried onions because they have been frying those onions all day and they are delicious. And if you hate onions, then don't order them. I ain't no purist. As long as the bread makes the cheesesteak, remember. I don't see zip ties in here. What the hell happened to all my zip ties? I don't want to have to order zip ties because then they're like, hey, zip tie enthusiast, here's a bunch of links to zip ties. Look at all these zip ties you could have. Seeing as you are a collector, a connoisseur, if you will, of the zippiest ties. I thought I had a little baggie full of zip ties in here. Try it. Ow, my beard just got pulled by my collar. What the hell? That was a weird one. What did that? Is there a beard hair on my collar? Something on my collar pulled on my beard. What the hell? That was a weird one. Hey, C2189, how you doing? How you doing? I'm saying things that'll get me admitted to a mental hospital today. Send Bother a big box of zip ties from AliExpress. No. Time to shave it. You know I would lose viewers permanently. Silly Russell would call the police if I shaved off the beard. Among others that would just permanently leave. It must have been the mic clip. No, but it was on the... No, it's on that side. Yeah, it must have been the mic clip must have pinched a hair. Does that mean there's a hair on my mic? I don't see one. Okay. FYI, other streamers also co-locate YouTube and Twitch chat. I do that. What are you talking about? Well, I just don't have any YouTube chatters. Hold on, let me check on YouTube. Yeah, nobody's just talking on YouTube. I've got 13 viewers, which is incredible. Do you look suspicious without your beard? No, I have a round face. One friend of mine way back in the day, I haven't spoken to her for ages, but she was very annoyed that I grew a beard because I had a good jawline. Notwithstanding, I think more people are happy that I grew the beard as a pseudo jawline. But a lot of guys grow a beard as a pseudo jawline. They trim the beard to look like a jawline, and that's kind of how mine gets trimmed, but it's not, I'm not using it for a pseudo jawline. I've got a good jawline. If I lost a little bit of weight, I would have a really good jawline. But still, the beard has pretty much defined the weird beard project guy look that I cultivated. So I'm going to keep it. But you guys would not be used to the look. I remember when I was a little kid, a little tyke, little boy playing with his toys. And my dad walks into the room and he shaved off his goatee. And I cried and I cried and I cried because he did not look that good. He didn't look like my dad without the goatee that he had. Probably good that he shaved it though, because that shit went out of fashion pretty quick. Beards are forever though, especially when you look like me. Then again, I also had somebody in line at the airport call me out because I looked like a Santa. He was like, "You should be a Santa." And I'm like, why would you say that to people? Why would you do that? Don't put that evil on me, airport Santa guy in line. I don't see zip ties. I don't think I have any. That's annoying. Shirt brother. Santa brother. No, I'm not. Please don't look at me. Don't speak to me. Don't look at me. You have embarrassed me. I don't know what happened to my zip ties, guys. This is embarrassing. I thought I had a ton of them. Don't know. I'm going to have to order some at some point. What an annoying thing to have to do. Okay, well, let's get back to the other part of this work, this dark work that we must do today. My dark work. All you need to do is bleach the beard white and put on a red suit. I'm not going to bleach my beard. Hell no. Plus, it's, you know, follicle by follicle, it's turning white on its own. I guess I'm not young anymore. I used to get real pissed at all my friends because all they would talk about is how old they are. Oh, we're getting old. I'm like, dude, you're 30. Like, shut the fuck up. Now we're 40 and we're still not old, but I'm not correcting them as adamantly. All right, I'm gonna do one leg of the stool behind the rail because I can't get close enough to the desk and I'm really uncomfortable. Streaming from far away. I don't know when I'm going to be able to cut the rail that I have because it's going to be very, very, very loud. Not good for a dog. I don't know when dog's not going to be around. My beard grows like yours. Here, let's scooch. Everybody scooch over. Kids scooch with the scooching. I'll hide a few through-hole resistors inside. 10K, 1K, 100K. You'll need the 10Ks more than you think. Yeah. Those go pretty fast. I should braid my beard. I'm going to have little braids. Go for the full dwarf look. All right. This thing gone. This thing gone. This is what we're going to follow. Close this before I'm tempted to buy more parts. This was the one that we were trying to like follow, but it didn't really work. Here's Node-RED on that Raspberry Pi right now. Or no, this is just a tutorial for CAN bus. Oh my God, the dogs have been barking all day. Madam Mew has fallen on its keyboard. I hope you're okay. Okay, so we've got a tutorial for CAN bus, but the problem is we were able to get into Node-RED on that Raspberry Pi, and it seemed like everything should function. It's just that we didn't have the like folder thing that is the way that Raspberry Pis deal with peripherals. So ShortLurker actually linked me to this tutorial, linked to me to this tutorial. Anyway, we've got this thing to follow that was from 3D printing. So it's Clipper CAN bus is what's at the top of this thing. I figure if we go through the steps far enough to get it to register with the Raspberry Pi, then we should be set with CAN bus on the Raspberry Pi. I think that's what we need to do. So now that we've resolved all these pins and everybody is connected properly, all I'm missing is like a zip tie. I would really like to find a zip tie for that because this will be flexing back and forth, but just to put closure on the stuff that we just worked on. Oh my God, my dog is just barking and barking and barking at the door. She is mad at something out there. These are kind of cool. You just kind of plug the plug the proper way, which is not this way, it's the other way. This I think is for a passenger side, so the cable comes out kind of the wrong way. We can design around that though. Plug the plug, make sure that it's cammed all the way over, and you can see how it kind of falls into place, and I can't push it anymore. Can't push it in anymore. Here, let's get a better angle on this. It's kind of glowing because it's so blown out by the camera. It's not going to help me. All I can do is lower the light level. This camera's kind of pissed me off. That's a little better. Arm focus. What's going on with the arm camera? Why are you like this? For some reason, the Stream Deck has like lost the ability to mess with the Logitech Brio. I guess we've been in kind of fixed focus this whole time, so I've got to back out a little bit so that you guys can see what's going on. So yeah, these are cool. These electrical connectors that they put on cars like this. You basically just put the thing into position, and it uses the gears of the lever to pull the connector in and then make the same amount of pressure evenly on the whole thing. So if it doesn't plug in with just its little lever, you've got other problems. But yeah, this is cool. I like this because it kind of keeps you from pulling on the wrong stuff, you know, yanking it by the wires or something, and it sort of controls the plugging process of the connector so you don't damage anything. Don't worry about it, I'm not wearing glasses. Oh, okay. I'm gonna restart Stream Deck. I think that's probably what happened here. Because yeah, usually I've got good control of all these cameras, but let's see, Stream Deck is all the way over here. Quit Stream Deck, quit. I think when Stream Deck starts up, it looks for all these different things that I control, and without it, if like something comes in out of order, it gets confused. Pretty sure Logitech just came out with their own Stream Deck-like thing, so I would assume that it's planned incompatibility. It might also just be that I need to do a driver update on Stream Deck. I don't know if I did the OBS update or not, but now if I go to this camera and I hit arm focus, yeah, there we go. See, it's working again. It was just an order of operations thing. Yeah, if only IDE cables had that back in the day. It's a little bit much, but it really helps. I had to restart mine too. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Just one of those days. The big ATX, yeah. Yeah, those are usually not too bad, but you got to remember never to tug by the wires. That's what would always get me. I need to look at new camera equipment, but I just can't afford to do the whole shop at once. So Waveshare RS485 or similar can have interface up and running. Please note the board may have compatibility issues if you run your regular printer. MCU via UART instead of USB. This is not relevant to us. Mount the Waveshare board. We got it. Find the clock chip on the can hat. Whew, that's a mouthful. And read the number from the top. 678 from the top. We are an 8. We're 12. Sorry, that was 8. 12. Always have to think the worst when stuff starts working right after a company comes out with a competing product. No, you're not wrong, but still, it's with this shop, it's usually something kind of simple because we're not just using. Like the Node Red has plugins that work with the Logitech camera in order to make the drivers do stuff, and Logitech does not give a flying shit about their drivers. If they did give a flying shit about their drivers, it would be really weird because flying shits are not normal. But anyway, if they did actually give a crap about their drivers, I guess things could maybe go in that direction, but they really don't. They don't do anything about it. There's still a bug in the drivers that has persisted since I bought these cameras in 2010, 11, 12, 13, I forget. I think it was like 13 or 14 is when I started buying the cameras. So, so we have a 12 to Valve. I think it's like 12 or 32 on the Crystal. SSH into the Pi. I suppose I could do that. WinSCP. So I use WinSCP. I think it's a really good program. It makes getting in and out of the Pi and transferring files and doing all that stuff kind of nice, especially if you're programming in Python. What I'll do is I'll program in Notepad++ with Python. I don't like having a lot of IDE, right? I don't like having a lot of assistance from the IDE. So all I'll do is program it in Notepad++, hit save, and then WinSCP auto-uploads it into the Raspberry Pi. If I edit it directly, it'll like download the file to its own directories and then allow me to do the edits, and then I hit Control S and it just goes into the Pi, and then I can run it using the Pi console. Pretty cool. So let's connect to 123, which is our test Pi. I like it a little more than FileZilla, which has an SFTP protocol. I used to use FileZilla for some stuff. I don't remember it very well. LebTV Live was the one who bent my whole arm around my back and made me use this program, and it's treated me pretty well. All right, so SSH into the Pi. Oh, did I use the wrong console? No, I think that's the right one. Enable SPI and serial. I don't think we did this. Sudo sudo. Oh, I have wires near the keyboard. Hold on. I got to get wires away from the top of the keyboard or else they get stuck under the keys. And then I get mad. And then I get real mad. So we're SSH'd in. We're going to go to sudo raspi and then config. You son of a bitch. Oh, raspi config. Bonk. Select interfaces. Oh, let's move this over so you guys can see it. Select serial. Would you like a login shell to be accessible over serial? Yes. Serial login is enabled. Serial interface is enabled. Oh, okay. Exit and reboot. Wait, is it S or F? I can't get down to the finish. No? Oh, select, there we go. I had to hit tab. I know interfaces. All right, so we got to give it a minute to reboot. WSFTP takes me back? Yeah. Do you need a TTTY shell over serial on the GPIO? I don't know, man. I'm just following the tutorial. I'm following the tutorial because I believe that this will lead us in the right direction. And if I have an independent thought, even for a moment, while following Linux tutorials, it leads to disaster. So we don't have independent thoughts. We just follow what the tutorial tells us to do. I hate how WinSCP closes when I do that. This guy Linuxes. Bada bing. Okay. So, nano, boot, command, line.tx. Doesn't exist. Yeah. Oh, boot firmware command line.txt. Okay. Boot firmware command line.txt. Why is it all one line? Should look something like the below example. Console equals serial 0. Console equals TTYL. Serial 115200. Okay, root part UID equals a different address than theirs. Do I need the UID? I'm asking because enabling that ties up the GPIO for pins 8, 9, and 10 for the purpose, and you can't use them. Listen, we're good, man. Use tab complete, you maniac. I do. I promise you I do. Just didn't use it that one time. Root type exit 4. Okay, ext 4. FSCK repair yes. Root wait. And I've got config IEEE 802.11 region US. I don't think I need to bother with that. That's just giving us our yeah, I think that's just an extra thing that we're okay with having. It needs the ID of the partition of your storage drive, not theirs. Okay. That's what that is. So okay, we're good on that stuff. Don't need to save the modified buffer. I don't know what I modified, but it was probably not good. Here's the missing console TTY, console serial 0 at the start, then you missed something above. Okay, I got that. Add missing overlayers via SSH editor. Sudo nano boot config. Going back to that, huh? Oh no, we're configuring. We're opening up that config again. Okay, so that was nano boot firmware. Where the hell is my command? There it is. Config. You pasted something after root weight. You sure? I didn't paste it. That was just there. You should see a block titled all towards the top. Oops. Where's my all block? Oh, well, it's irrelevant. And then what do we want? DT overlay pi 3 mini UART BT. Is that the Bluetooth UART? I don't know if I need that. DT overlay pi 3 UART BT and then enable UART equals 1. DWC2 mode host. I guess I'm going to put it in if it's there. They don't really comment on whether or not. Pi 3 mini UART BT. That sounds like an independent thought. That's exactly what I was thinking while I was saying it. Do not stray. If your clock reads 8 megahertz in the previous step, add the following to the all section. If it read 12, what did ours again? What did ours? To Valve. Okay, so ours reads 12, so we're following the 12. DT overlay, etc. Add the following to the all section. So we're just putting that in down here. Make sure there's nothing there. Okay. And right click. And there's the 12 max frequency and all that. Press Control X, follow the prompts to save. Save modified buffer, yes. Write to file. .text. Do I just hit enter here? I think I do. Yeah, I just hit enter. Doesn't tell me what enter does. Error writing. Permission denied. Control X. No, don't save it. Sudo. Sudo. You know, Linux guys will hold their nose up at you for not knowing that you should hit enter in order to save the file in a particular way, when before that step, everything had explicit prompts to tell you what exactly you should do. All right, so we need DT overlay, Pi 3 mini UART BT. May or may not be necessary, but remember, no independent thought. We are simply following instructions. Let me grab the 12 thing. No special stuff added in. We're good. Okay. So we hit Control X. I've used V before. It's not that bad. Save the modified buffer. Y. Write to file. Yes. Nope. We hit enter. And then that saves the file. And it should look like this. And it does. Create your CAN network. Okay, so now we're getting a little crazy. We are making etc. network interfaces. Okay, so we're okay. Hold on, click there. Jeez. Sudo nano etc. network There we go. Network interface. Now. Faces.d/can0. Whoa. Directory etc. network interfaces.d does not exist. Add the following line. Autocan 0. Add the following to the file, rather. I forgot sudo again. Control X. No, I didn't. You're being unhelpful. Right click. There we go. Control X the following prompts to save without changing the name. Control X. Save the modified buffer. Yes. Error writing can network 0. No such file or directory. But you have sudo. But I sudoed you. Why is it .d? Oh, is it supposed to be... Hold on. Is it etc.? No, that's an etc. It's boot firmware, but etc. network interfaces.d can 0. See, this is where if getting tripped up like this in the middle of a tutorial like this, probably because things are a little bit different now, but we then just don't have the knowledge to continue like this. So do we make dir in order to have this, have that directory? But interfaces.d doesn't exist. Hold on. So boot and etc. So we want to look at etc. Oh God, there's a lot of stuff here. So we're adding a directory in here. Sudo make dir. And that directory is interfaces.d, which is weird because I think interfaces should probably already exist, right? But it if it doesn't exist, it's probably not going to get read. I think the paths changed in the distro recently-ish trying to find the info. That was my suspicion, is that they kind of switched stuff up a little bit. Because you used to have the folder with interfaces in it, and that just had all your stuff. So it's possible that it needs to go into a slightly different one. This tutorial is just old. So does something seem like a better place to be putting like mod probe, modules load, groff? Run it. Alternatives. Crons. Oh, etc. network. Yeah. Down, post down, if pre and if up. What? IF dash. So interface dash down, down D, or post down, pre up and up. So I wonder what they switched, networks, and then networks manager, or just network. Did I get that wrong on the thing? You go to, oh, network. Yeah, I am in network. I'm not in networks. So wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean not a? I could have sworn. I guess it's not a directory. It's not a directory. That's networks, but then network is up here. Okay. Etc. network, that was the right place. Is this the recent Raspberry Pi OS? Yeah, headless, 64-bit, whatever the newer one is, as of a couple days ago, week ago. So yeah, so now, oops, sudo make dir, make directory, and then I guess I need to add it. But like I said, like, you know, like was mentioned in chat as well, it should be making this for us, because I don't know if it's going to find what it needs if we force it to have the directory with the file in it. That's nothing if, you know, I just don't know. That doesn't seem right to me. Is there maybe an update for this one? I don't think they updated it. It doesn't look very updated. Oops. Yeah, I don't know. Sudo nano, etc. network interfaces.d. Center network interface settings. I am in over my head, by the way. I have no idea what's going on. Are you on Trixie or Bookworm? I don't know. In newer Pi OSs, you should use etc. network manager / system connections. Okay, so these changes, yeah. I didn't look up what any of this stuff is. Yeah, let's take a look. Okay. Etc. network manager. So I'm guessing that that exists because I think I saw it. Network manager. What? It doesn't appear to be a folder, although it is highlighted. Case sensitive. I see. So those are the lowercase entries. What the heck? Okay, so it is a thing. What's in it? Conf, the message, network manager conf, VPN, dispatcher, din smash, shared, and then system connections. Okay, so what do they want me to do with this text file? File. Close that. Interfaces can 0. But it looks like we have like we have manager configuration, the DNS mask, conf.d. What's in system connections? Let's find out. Nothing. Let's check. Still nothing. Nothing. I don't think the .conf file is going to have, I mean, network manager.configuration. There's nothing in it. Sudo reboot to root for the Pi, verify that the can0 network is set up with the following command, if config can0. Didn't we get to the point where it wait. Oh, it is set up. How did we set it up before? I guess we did something that set it up without having to use all of this stuff. Although I don't know what bitrate we have running on this thing. TQ lane 10, unspecified. No packets, nothing's going on. Was that upsetting? What, why, what? That's a weird, what do you, it's like a serial killer question. See, this one is running. Ours, I don't think is running. Flags 128, no ARP. Oh, set up to upsetting. I see. I see it now. I see it now. What did I just do? I hit a button and some weird shit just happened in the console. I know right-click pastes. I know that. This needs a little bit more room to function, otherwise it's spilling over. Anyway, the point is, like, it doesn't appear to be, like, fully set up. I was hoping that this tutorial would be all that we would need in order to set this thing up. Yeah, Network Manager Service is active, I guess. This is after a reboot, too. It seems like we're partially set up, but not quite. And we don't have the interfaces.d. You want me to run nmt. All right, I'll try that. Since we are on a system that I can just reflash. Sudo nmtui. Please select an option. Radio. Ethernet and Wi-Fi. Veth, Team, Mac, Bond, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, DSL. I think this is just for networking, though. I don't know if CAN bus counts as like a network connection. Does it? Oh my God, Willow, everybody knows you're behind that door. Yeah, so I don't think that's the right tool for this. Cool tool. Yeah, if it happened to know about, hey, do you got like a CAN bus running? So let's try to find a new tutorial then. That's all I can really do. Yeah, CAN as in is capable of joke. Entry number 50. RS485 CAN hat. RS485 CAN hat tutorial. And then I'm going to actually go with tools. Past year. M5 docs. Tempting. What in the heck? Oh, it's for something totally unrelated. Cool. I was hoping that tutorial was all we needed, right? Just that one tutorial on how to set up the WaveShare CAN hat. Didn't find any answers on my problem. Probably solved it. I needed 3 CAN channels and 1 mod bus for my Raspberry Pi 5 running Bookworm. Okay, that's not what I'm doing. The plus is important on the 2-channel CAN hat. Plus, because WaveShare has 2 other channel hats with different pinout. Okay. After checking the PIOs on the difference I had, PI, SPI, so they should work. DT overlays. I found that the order you define the DT overlays in the boot firmware config, this is how I got them to work. So, and this is also assigning interrupts to them too. I think we have that in our DT overlays though. I think we did that part. I'm not going to sudo. I don't want to edit anything. Boot config. Oh, boot firmware config. Whoops. Boot firmware config. And towards the bottom, we should have DT overlay pi 3 mini UART BT, enable UART 1, DT overlay MC 2515, CAN 0, oscillator 12 billion, interrupt 25. Is that, I think, where this one starts? 22, 13, and 25. Frequency 2 billion, DT overlay SPIL, LCS. They don't have the DT SPIL, huh? So wait a sec. SPI1 and take CS0 and must do so before the MC255 tries to use SPI1. Okay, so that's not really us. That doesn't really apply to us. For MCP2515, the SPI has to be initialized, but CS0 is taken on the previous row, so skip that one. DT overlay SPI3 CS. So do I need to do that? Huh, because we're not doing that. You can set up CAN with Network Manager, but nobody recommends doing that. Instead, you should use systemd network D and decouple the CAN device from the Network Manager because NM is optimized for IP networks and has no native CAN support. What the fuck? Huh. So that's with using, well, yeah, I'm not going to touch it with the Network Manager, but Instructables, Raspberry Pi base CAN bus reader. I'm just trying to get the Node-RED CAN bus stuff running, but maybe this helps kind of acclimate us. CAN hat stuff. Adafruit, RS-45 hat, $20, OBD2, components, soldering iron and solder. Okay, let's get to the meat, please. Pi Imager, micro SD, choose the OS, choose the SD card, set the host name, configure wireless LAN, SSID type your Wi-Fi. Listen, I know, yeah, I want to explain something really quick. With tutorials, what I'm doing here is I'm very quickly reading through the beginning of the tutorial. We did all this stuff before. We know all this stuff. We know exactly what's going on. That'll get you. That right there. Because sometimes, especially with these Linux freaking tutorials, somebody will do something a little different early on, and that might influence stuff later on down the line. So I want to make sure to go over the beginning parts insofar as I've understood that I've done all the things that they have done, right? Because we have. I just want to make sure that there's nothing in there that's a deal breaker or, you know, changes what we're doing. So I need to go over this from the beginning. SD card and Raspberry Pi. Then they want you to hook up to the CAN bus. And I guess, you know, we can do that with the shifter if we really want to, but yeah. I have to assemble the hardware, break out the soldering iron. They are going directly into the RS-485 hat, huh? I mean, we can hook that up. I've got a whole Arduino project that I know of. Let me open that up. Because we can pretty quickly get that connected just so we have something that's going to try to communicate on the CAN bus. And that's going to be in Discord. I have to scroll up. To where I have the link to this GitHub project. There it is. So this fella here used the exact same the exact same shifter that I have. This right? Oh, this may not be the right one. Oh yeah, that's just about K-Can. Hold on, let me find it. Let me find the real one. The real one. E90 open database. Source on KBus. Where'd it go? I've had it open for a while. I'm gonna yell at my dog. She will not shut up at that door. She's been barking all afternoon, and she should be sleeping. It's time for puppies to take a nap. I have a really nice wiki article, but it's only in German. I would gladly translate that using Google, but this fellow here has a whole bunch of the shifter commands in here for the CAN bus on the BMW shifter, as well as the pinouts and stuff like that. So this is the code, but they've got a whole bunch of other information in here as well. They used the exact same shifter and hooked that up to their little setup, which is just awesome. What a great project. I'm a total hypocrite though, because I'm sitting here yelling at these monitors and the dog is barking at the door. Oh my God. I'm I'm at my wit's end. All I hear is barking. Every time I say something to you guys, she follows up with a roar, and then there's motion at the door, and now the doorbell's ringing. What the fuck is going on today? One sec, there's a bunch of commotion that's going on upstairs. Yeah, link to me in the Discord, that's good. Okay, nobody's at the door, according to the Amazon lady who shall not be named. Oh my God. What is going on in this house? We've got two dogs upstairs, both our dog, the fluffy corgi, and the neighbor's fluffy corgi. And I took them on a long walk before stream under the assumption that they would become tired and sleep. And that is not what is happening. They apparently have taken to barking their little heads off. This is our Arduino together with the MCP module. I just care about the individual pinout. Here we go. Incorrect connection can cause damage. This section describes how to set up and pin the hardware and software and a working gear selector for your PC. Incorrect connection can cause damage to your shifter, so be careful. Okay? Keep in mind that even some of the color sets of cables are similar on its purpose. It can be different for different modules of selectors. 929. Okay, so what is that part number? Shut the hell up, dog. I'm getting so angry. The dog has been barking all afternoon. She's got all these follow-up barks. She just will not stop. It's all right. She's a dog. That's what dogs do, especially corgis. It's what corgis do. They bark. They make a lot of noise. You don't get a corgi under the assumption that it's going to be a quiet dog. So theirs is 9291. The freaking part number 929690401. There's 929152701. I don't know if there's that much of a difference here, because we've got the pins in this area. Where are they? Hold on. Pins are here. Those is the pins. We don't have a number 1 label. It's probably on a different part of the plug. Like if we pop this thing open, we could probably see the number 1 on it, but I would hope that pin 1 is all the way up here, but I just don't know. I have annoyances with people that just put vague things on the pin numbers. So let's see if we can find something that will corroborate this pinout here. And this thing is running off of 12 volts, but it also, yeah, has the CAN bus signals. So we'll have to use the power supply, which means making a little mini breadboard for it. And then CAN and CAN bus 2. I think we probably only need to plug into one of them. Oh, I see. 291 and 218. Interesting. There are 2 CAN bus lines available. According to my testing, both of the lines are producing the same messages, so it doesn't matter which one we use. Okay, cool. Okay, I hear just I just hear footsteps above my head. I don't know what the hell's going on. I think the dogs are being fed right now. That's probably what all the commotion's about. There's so much going on. Okay, I had a collection of like those semi-new jumper wires that came with other stuff that I wanted to kind of like tear up and use here. What happened to them? It was sitting right over here. Did it get moved? Where'd they go? Oh, they're back here. Okay. Cool. I guess we can steal some of these too, because these are like the specific power colored ones. So presumably, what in the world is going on? I hear big scraping noises. Is there like some work done to the house today? Is that what's going on? Plus 12 volts, empty, and then ground. Oh wait, these aren't the ones. I want to find the ones that have the male end on one side. Hold on. I know I've got jumpers that I can use here. What's up, lines and squares? How you doing? Couldn't catch the beginning of the stream. We're still in the same place that we were with the what do you call it? With the Raspberry Pi. Can zeros not quite working. I think there's a couple little things that I can do that are in the tutorials that'll get it to work. What I'm trying to do right now is hook up the shifter so that we've got something on the CAN lines trying to communicate. And that way, when we go through the tutorial, we have something communicating, and maybe we'll actually see some packets when we look at the interfaces and stuff. I think that'll help us a little bit. I don't know how long that thing is going to communicate for, but we'll at least have somewhere to go with it, right? Yeah, here we go. These are the ones that I was looking for. These are the ones. Oh wait, but these are all. Oh no, these are exactly what I need. Exactly what I need. I've been gibbering this whole stream. I've been talking way too fast. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that I'm having caffeine right now. Hopefully the gibbering isn't too much of a turnoff for all you guys. We've had a lot of information to go over very quickly, so I get kind of gibbery when that happens. Everybody's like, geez, what's up with this guy? Class A weirdo. I'm assuming, since, ask you me, I'm assuming that since these are vertical, that it's the same orientation as in the table. So pin 1 is all the way up here, pin 12 is all the way down here. If I get that wrong, I could probably break this thing. So we're going to try to corroborate our pinout once I hook these up. This is just basically me reserving the pins for later, just to make sure. Because I think they had a pigtail attached to this, and I don't, because my brother likes to keep his wiring harness intact. Didn't want to go crazy with that. And then the other two are can line. So we'll make it orange and green in honor of the actual can colors on the BMW. And give those a twist together. All right, we're doing can its duty of having a twisted pair. Which one is low? Which one is high? So can low is green, can high is orange. So if we do pins 3 and 4, oh, interesting. Their wire colors are different than mine. Maybe they're talking about their own wire color. So, okay, which one is orange is high? So the orange is the one on the bottom, and then we're 1, 2, pins 3 and 4. Can't even see into this thing to plug it in properly. Oh God, I dropped it. Wait, hold on, which one is which? Can low. Low is green, and it goes high, low, okay. I need something to hold on to this so I can plug it in properly. Here we go. Grab this. when you twist the two together, it means you got to like plug them in at the same time. Very annoying. Very annoying. So this is our test setup. We have power and then we have CAN bus. And I don't know if we can just directly connect the CAN bus and if I can just use clip leads on this to put 12 volts into it. That's pretty much, I mean, that's what they display here for the hat. 2010, what was our pin number? Our part number was 9296. And they go to 291. And then we got 904. Okay, so BMW F10 shifter pinout. So with the pins, the keyways on the other side, that one's different too. Gear selector part 1 failures, Project Gus. 205 2TB retrofit 3 series and 4 series. Let's see what this says. There's a retrofitting guide. Sport shifter with a leather boot. This does not have a leather boot. 10-pin connector. Power, skip, ground. Can, question mark. No power, skip, ground. It's power and ground are midway. Oh boy. One is for the 10-pin connector, the other's for the 8-pin connector. And we have, how many pins are on this thing? Oh, that's not even like, God, how annoying. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have a 10-pin connector. Can as an able to joke, number 612. All right, we got a 10-pin connector. And they're saying from what I have to assume, so the bottom of the connector, the keyways are on that side. That would mean I had it upside down because that side of the connector is smooth and the red wire is all the way on the left. Oops, sorry. And so the smooth side of the connector, which means they've got it held up in the same orientation as we see here. And so that's power, skip, ground, and CAN bus is lower down. This is why I'm looking up a couple of them, because I want to make sure that I'm hooking this thing up the right way. And I'm probably not going to be able to look it up by part number. So that's the 10-pin, and we have mostly everything that we think we should have, although it's got some connections that aren't listed on this GitHub, but then, you know, can't have everything. Yeah, 1, 2. Oh, there's a second 12-volt connection. I see. Okay, so that actually is fine. We'll hook it up to another one of my jumpers, which are where? They were right here. They were right in front of me. They're right here. Where they go? Oh, here we go. That's one set. This is the other set. Okay. Second power connection. We'll just give it the purple wire. And that means I'm going to need a tiny little breadboard just as an intermediary so that I can send multiple signals in multiple different directions. Now, which one is pin 1? Because we know we have 2 power connections, 1 ground connection, 2 CAN bus connections. So we've got all the wires we need sitting right here. Right here. All the wires. Red wire or yellow would be nice for that. But wait, I had a yellow wire that was the right thing. Yeah, it's right here. So we'll use that instead of purple. So now yellow and red are our power connections. That keeps with my general scheme. So on this one, which has the appropriate wires. So it's the appropriate wire colors too, because it's green with a red stripe. So power, skip, ground, power, CAN bus, CAN bus, CAN bus, CAN bus, nothing, nothing, nothing. That's correct. So that is indeed what our wiring is on the 10-pin connector. Smooth side of the 10-pin connector, so power is actually up here instead of down here. I thought it would be the same order that it was listed, but it's not. Okay, so I would have blown it up if I had tried it plugged in the wrong way. So now we know that we have, okay, I'm just going to unfurl these. Power. God, I can't see a thing. That's because my other light is facing the seat. Because I thought we would have an amazing job. We'd have this wonderful time and everything would work perfectly right away. And I'd have everything functioning just right. And so we'd finally be on the part where we hook it up to the Raspberry Pi, the seat, and we'd be able to put signals in. Once we get the initial growing pains of getting the CAN bus registered on the Pi and like doing the right stuff, then we should have a pretty easy time of messing with the signals in Node Red in order to get everybody talking to each other and sending the right signals. Oops, that was wrong. Brown for ground. Yeah, that's fine. This is not supposed to be in my work area. And then yellow for other power. You got to really sink these things in here or else they don't make a connection. Luckily, they're all the right size. Like the pins are the right size to kind of get into these DuPont connectors. And it should stay relatively connected. So CAN low and high of CAN bus 1 is down here. So it's actually blank, blank. And then CAN low, which is green. And then CAN high. So here and here. My kingdom for this 10-pin connector. I could probably look it up on eBay and buy one for like 12 bucks. I need to get tweezers over on this thing. Tweezies. That's CAN high. I need CAN low. I did not memorize the green and orange thing. I have it written on a sticky pad. CAN low. CAN high. Okay, that's not, I don't know the distance here. I can't tell. I can't see. I gotta come in this way. I hope we're the high-speed CAN bus on the chair. I don't think we're going to be, though. Okay. These I just use as junctions, so I can plug multiple things into multiple things. That is, why is that not plugging in? That was a bad row. What in the world? Are these not these are compatible? It should be fine with plugging into things. Ah, it's just really hard to. Okay. Brown wires ground. And these two are positive. 12 volts. Okay, so those are our shifter connections. And then to the Raspberry Pi, we will take our two CAN lines. We have green. We have green. I have orange sitting around here somewhere. I'm just having fun with the wire colors here. Green and orange. Let's flip those together. And then we'll put that to the CAN hat, and hopefully it'll still be able to communicate, even though we've got like all kinds of stuff running around on this thing. If it's a low and a high, I think it'll be able to communicate. I don't think it'll blow it up, right? You can translate with the browser on it. It messes up the commands. Okay, I'll be aware of that. Why did that untwist the other stuff? What's going on here? Must have become undone. We want a twisted pair. Oh no, I wanted... I wanted pins on this side. Useless. I need the ones with pins on one side and not the other. So that'd be that little, couple little strands of, yeah, here's one. Where's the other one? Oh, here we go. They need to be different enough so that I can tell which one's which. Look at these blue and white. That's a pretty good contrast. Done this before with a drill. It's really quiet upstairs. I think both dogs just ate and got tired and are now asleep. That or our neighbor got let off work early for people not being around. It's so weird, like, how are we supposed to, like, shop and retail if they have normal business hours? It's something that they never, like, figured out post nuclear family era. Everybody's working to make ends meet, so when are we supposed to actually, like, go to shops and stuff like that? Because they're closing, like, the second you get off of work. I'm not going to take vacation to go get a suit, you know? That's not a very good twist. All right, whatever. Can, and then green is low. Green coming from low, which is going to, green goes to white. So white is can low, and we're going to can those top two. So this one to here. These are probably going to come off much easier than the other ones. That's a decent grip. Ah, yeah, that's actually a good grip. Okay, this thing is definitely going to stay connected. That's nice. On these setups like this, I'm used to using like my old busted jumpers that like don't grip at all, but these are like brand new, so they're all really holding on there. Yeah, online trade does all the rest. Oh, there's the barking again. Never mind. The dogs are not tired. They're just as freaking super duper loud and relentless in their barking as ever before. She can't catch. We had 10 minutes that were nice and quiet. It's doggy daycare, and the word of the day is shouting. I'm okay with it. It's just a little stressful to have the dogs barking all the time. Hey, Mr. Copper, how you doing? How you doing? We're about to blow up this shifter that my brother so generously gave to me in order to actually be able to see whether or not CAN bus is communicating with our Raspberry Pi. Push comes to shove, I guess I could put a Seed Studio Jao on it and see if we can plug in the code that this person made, but my new street is loaded with barky dogs and mine doesn't. How do you get a dog not to bark? I can't even ask that question because we have a corgi, so corgis just bark. That's just how they interact with the world around them. They use a form of sonar. This is well known. They have a form of sonar where they bark at stuff and they can see the reflections like Spider-Man does when he fights Daredevil. I think that's right. Anyway, yeah, it's just a thing. Wait, this is all oriented weird. Why is that? I guess it's sagging my face light. They have infinite energy for one thing, barking. Do silent dogs even exist? Some dogs are quiet. Yeah, that's manifest as poop. Poop from a butt. I love how it specifies from a butt on that subreddit. There's a subreddit about food that looks like poop, but it's because of the meme that that sort of called it into existence. The subreddit is called poop from a butt. That doesn't look like food. That looks like poop from a butt. So, presumably if I give this thing 12 volts, we don't blow up my whole setup that I've worked so hard for, because I was careful about hooking everything up, and I double checked all the wiring. So I'm going to turn on my power supply. I'm going to put the power supply back up on the top of this stupid thing. There we go. I should make a little rack for these components over here. I need to have like 2 rails and then plate. And actually, if I made it a standard rack size, I think this has ears on it that can make it mount to like a rack rail. Although maybe I'll just make it like a shelf. That'd probably be better. What up, watchmakering? How you doing? Mine will bark at mailmen and deer, but he doesn't just bark at everything when outside, but I also leave him unattended. Yeah, our dog's TV is the front door, which is a big glass door. Even during the very, very cold months that we just went through, we're probably paying quite a bit of money. I don't know, a 10-inch. Yeah, those Agilent tools, they fit into a rack, but I think there's brackets that kind of mate them together. And then you can have everything in like a flat lab setup with those pieces of equipment behind me. I don't need the pieces of equipment behind me. I just need my 3 power supply and soldering tools that I put on the right here. So I'll probably just do something custom. Anyway, the point is she's got this big open window to the outside. And so anyone who passes by, she gets to bark at. Usually people say they see her in the front door and she's upside down asleep. But I guess today she's got a friend over, so she's acting out for her friend. She's acting out for a friend who came over for the day. I think building a little shelf over there would actually really benefit us. Anyway, I digress. What I should be doing is turning on the power supply. So I'm about to hit power on the power supply. Here we go. This is at 12 volts, 6 amps. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, 110 milliamps is going to this thing. This thing, of course, is doing nothing. But that's because there's no communications happening. No one is heating up. We've got 110 milliamps going into this thing. Absolutely no clue if there's any kind of communication. But it is something. So what if we look at the interface now? Let's exit this. What was the command? That's config. Well, okay, so ETH0, LO, and WLAN 0. There is no CAN 0 going on here. This will be a fancy sequential shifter by the end. I'm not necessarily going to use this because I don't like this style of shifter. I thought he had a slightly different shifter. There's a more modern M shifter that does the sequential thing, but instead of being a giant chicken wing that you have to hold on to, it's actually just a little like box that you can put your hand on and do all the other stuff, and it's a comfortable place to rest your hand. I will not be getting that because I have no need for a shifter like this. This is the second one of these things that I have, but this one speaks CAN bus. And so if this one speaks CAN bus, I can actually mess around with it and get it to speak to the Raspberry Pi and corroborate that everything works on this, right? And then I can move these jumpers over to the other connector, and so they'll do CAN bus for the chair. That's really the whole purpose of this. I don't really have much use for this shifter. You know, it's a sport shifter. My brother gave it to me. Maybe we could use it at some point for, I could use it for other stuff in relation to the chair, maybe. But for some reason, our CAN interface is not really working. I could hook up an Arduino and try to communicate with the shifter right now, but. Okay, so we've got our hardware assembled. We've already done those steps. CAN hat set up with the LGPIO library. To set up LGPIO on your Raspberry Pi, follow these steps. I don't think I want to do this with the LGPIO. Replace the Stream Deck with a shifter. Kick it into third. Get onto the microscope view. Park to go into a menu, yeah. Raspberry Pi 3 and RS-485 CAN hat. Yeah, this isn't, I don't think this is what I want to use. Although these are all the same instructions, so change the oscillator value to match the thing. Yeah, we did that. We restarted. Run the command to check the initialization was the demessage grep. Okay, so let's try that. SPI 0.0? Oh, and of course the picture's broken. Net register PF CAN protocol family, CAN raw protocol blank. MCP 2515 successfully initialized. EC4 DRM GPU cannot find any control C or sizes. Damn it. The one image that would have helped me. Successfully initialized output indicates success. But then the next two lines are errors. Make sure both sides of the Raspberry Pi are handled in this way and can connect the H's and L's, the two modules correspondingly. If using another CAN device, ensure that the lines HH and LL are connected. To open CAN, run the following commands. Sudo IP link set CAN 0 up, blah, 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 blah. Try it. We'll try it. Too high of a bitrate error. Let's restart the Pi. Repoop. I may put the O-scope on this too. I'll have to plug in the Ethernet for it. I had it unplugged because I was working on some stuff. Searching for host. Why don't you wait? Why don't you just wait? Okay, close the program. That's great. What was that program called? WinSCP. WinSCP. All right. I wonder if I should also reset the shifter too, because that didn't lose power. It's got a steady draw of 110 milliamps, so either we're cooking it or it works. I'm not sure which it is. Come on, buddy. Search for host. Find the host. The lights are blinking on the Pi still. I don't know if it's still booting up. My only problem with this setup is that it's going to be running off of a Raspberry Pi, so when you turn it on, it's going to take forever to turn on. It's kind of one of the annoying things about that. It has to load all of Linux. What was that last message we had? Oh, it opened. Wait. Oh, wait, it opened. Hello? Try this one. Wait a minute. What was the other check interface button? Successfully initialized. So the next one would be look at the IF config. Up, running, no ARP. Packets 1. Put your Discord gold. What? What about Discord gold? I mean, that should be sending packets. Let's try again. Now it still has 1. And it's not showing up in IF config. Oh no, CAN 0. Wait a minute. That is showing up in IF config now. Oh, you put the translation in there? To perform loopback mode testing, first install CAN utils. I don't have that. But it says it's up, but then again, I'm not seeing any commands being sent out. It's just one. So I actually have no idea what the hell's going on. I'm going to need to find like a wave share tutorial specifically that works on sort of the newer stuff. Or I could do this person's exact work and throw an Arduino at it with hat. You have a conflict. Okay, hold on. Let's take a look at the Discord then. Thank you, by the way. Oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, let's scroll up on this and let's just take a look here. This is a lot of data. But it is relevant to the stream, so thank you. Appreciate you guys following the rules and not just posting in order to post. And welcome to the Discord. Thank you for joining. CAN config. CAN interfaces, i.e. CAN 0 for MC, blah, blah, blah. USB couplers are affected by the bookworm change. Aha! Because they previously ran on if up down. Oh, like we saw in the folder. The CAN hardware must obviously be connected. You know, that's not something that everybody should assume. CAN USB adapters are, if they have the correct firmware, usually detected by the kernel. That's probably why I used the USB adapter, because it was like easy. You mentioned noodles in stream announcements. Oh, you verbatim literal translated the... Okay, so I won't comment too much on the grammar and stuff. Yeah, but that was in stream announcements. Not... It's not relevant. It shouldn't... Anyway, detected by the kernel, SPI devices do often need a separate configuration. And here's the example. In edit boot config.txt, and it's actually boot firmware config.txt. I actually just got a new board yesterday for the ECU project. Nice. Using a special STM32 with more ADC stuff. So we get away from a certain ASIC. I see. So you can use the Raspberry Pi 5 without the slowness of the GPIO. I don't think it'll be fast enough for injection cycles, and I sort of want to prove that it won't work. Not that I want to keep the ASIC, but it needs to be proven one way or another. Don't you hate it when you got to go all the way through, all the way to fruition with something just to prove to your fellow engineers that they're wrong? So we did this whole thing, the DT overlay. We got that. And we did the right config. That's not the right config. It's not, well, actually, is it boot config? Oh, I could be wrong about that. I could be very wrong about that. Let's just check. You got one guide. Edit. So I probably shouldn't sudo it, but sudo nano, and then it's boot config. Hello, Raspberry Pi. It's not responding. Ah, there it goes. Do not edit this file. Yeah, we did the boot config firmware. All right, Control X. It can be either. Whichever one is in the root of the... Yeah, it's actually the boot firmware config text, and we got this. So yeah, we got all that stuff in there. I'm going over the steps again. Like I said before, what's up, Plush Master? Like I said before, we're doing Linux stuff right now, so we are not afforded the capability of independent thought. We're not allowed to have independent thoughts. So if we look at a step on the tutorial, it is forbidden for me to go, oh, I know what this is. Let me do it this way. We're not allowed to do that. 9 times out of 10, the reason I stall or get stalled on a Linux tutorial is because I thought I knew what I was doing. And in fact, they're doing something else. And they don't bother to tell you. So we're not afforded the independence of thought. We simply follow instructions. Okay? If you upgraded a bunch, it'll be the old path. Sometimes it's weird. Oh, boy. We didn't upgrade. This is a fresh install. So, system method, link, create a configuration file, sudo nano, etc. systemmd network 25-can.network. This is a new one. Not quite like that. Okay, so now we need to find these eclectic locations. So let's take a look here. So we are going to, we have to create it. Sudo nano, and then we're going to tab complete all of these. Systemd, okay, that does exist. Network slash, and then I don't think 25 dash, yeah, it doesn't. 25 can dot network. There's two alternative methods there for uvdev. 99 can link or 25 can link, is that what you're talking about? If you're doing the link method, skip the, I don't know what's going on. The systemmd method, 25 can network, blah, 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 blah. 10 can rules. Yikes. Okay. Wow. This is okay. This is a lot. So it's either by link or uvdev. Udev, rather. Yeah, I know. It's too many options. Remember, we're not allowed to have independent thought. What is the difference between the two? Is there a difference between the two? Do often need a separate configuration. There's the example of that. Okay, so we got that. If you do the link, skip the udev. That's all. I see. Either's fine. Sometimes you want the other one, but in your case, it doesn't matter. Okay. Because remember, this is all just to get it to like communicate with Node-RED in the end. Hey, what's up, Sherlurker? How you doing? I got the shifter hooked up. Okay, well, I started the one that came first, so I guess I'm going to continue with link and make 25-can.network. So 25-can.network and systemd. Boop. The file doesn't exist, so I'm making the file, and it's going to have this crap in it. Copy that. Right-click. Make sure that's all right. Bitrate 1M. Restart seek 0.1. Required for online, no. Okay. So Control X. Save modified buffer, yes. And then mysteriously, completely uninstructed, you hit enter and it will write the file. We have wrought the file. Create a configuration file in the same folder called 99 can link. 99. I need to change the can star to can 0. Okay, we'll go back in just a sec. So 99 can, take one down, pass it around. Can link dot link. Dot link. Where did they come up with this stuff? Dot link. Then cut and paste. Now, am I writing can 0 on that? I know it doesn't say to do that, so therefore. If you do it this way, it just sets all of them. This is what I'm talking about. Not allowed to think. Who told you that we could think? Control X. Save modified buffer, yes. Click enter. Yes. Okay. What did I say? Did I say think? I did not say think. And then you went and thought, and you derailed me. I thought that's what July 4th was for. Everybody's trying to be political. Man. We're not allowed to think. Why is it political mentioning I was only following orders? I don't know. Maybe you could figure that one out. All right, let's continue on here. Activate the service. Sorry, this is over to the right because I've got to read this. I mean, I could move. I could just smash Discord over here. There we go. Activate the service. Sudo. Where am I reading? System control. Enable, and then motion detected at the front door. Is all I hear. That's all I hear. Careful, this might disconnect you. Oh, you mean wrong think? Yeah. Wrong think in America. Welcome to the new America. Now, systemed network. I wish I could somehow communicate to my dog that she does not need to go insane every single time. Is that okay? Double dash now. System D dash network D. Sudo system control enable. Okay. Ah yes. Sim network and blah 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 blah. What is all that crap? If you don't have a keyboard and a monitor attached, you might lock yourself out if something goes wrong. Huh? Oh. Yeah, I don't. But then, you know, this Pi, all the crap that we've done to this Pi would probably call for me to just wipe it and start over. It wouldn't that be that hard. Sudo udevadum control. If you guys are wondering why I sometimes will skip streams and the reasoning is a little bit like farcical and weird and unexplained and vague, it's because shit like today is happening where I can't catch a single private moment in this household. The dog is every 5 seconds, and then there's somebody walking above me and the sliding door is opening and closing, and it's just, there is all of this external distracting noise. I've set up the lavalier microphone to be really good at filtering that stuff out. You guys don't necessarily hear that. I hear it all. I hear it all and my eye starts twitching because studios are supposed to be quiet, and I've put everything in my life into making the studio as quiet as possible. The only sound that I cannot completely eliminate here with a gun is the fan. I need the fan or else I become a sweaty mess. So the fan puts this little in the, like way in the quiet area of the audio. So noise canceling headphones don't do anything for me, man. Yeah, I hear the police sirens, you know, get out or we'll send in tear gas. I hear shattering windows and hissing, and then the dogs are barking and there's gunshots, and it's just insane. What's my glucose level doing? Part of my annoyance is also because I was hyperglycemic, but it looks like I nipped that one in the bud pretty well. It's nice that I am, these levels are lesser. This is the Raspberry Pi that we're working on. This is a headless Raspberry Pi. I can reflash it at a moment's notice if I happen to mess something up. We've got Kcan hooked up to this thing. We don't necessarily know the speed of our Kcan. It could be 100, it could be 500. I'm hoping it's 500 because I want it to be fast. So I'm still hacking. I want it to be 500 because if it's the faster one, then it's better for the scheme that I'm eventually going to be throwing this stuff into, where we've got 6 or 7 devices that'll be motion detected at the front door as just, oh my God. Okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. It is so distracting around here. The dog is running around. I can hear her running from place to place, just barking into the air. I've got motion alerts going off. This is supposed to be a quiet place. It's the garbage people are going through. The people doing the yard work are going through on the same day. 2 dogs. We've got the neighbor's dog here because we're babysitting because the neighbor's not around because she gets to go to work where it's probably quiet. And then we've got people running around. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I am having a breakdown. All right, anyway, what are we doing next? You Van Damme control. And then I've got chat coming in. I was still focused in, I was in OBS. I wasn't in the console. Chat coming in with all their inane. Oh, are you using Linux? Try sudo rmrf. Sure, yeah, let me do that real quick. Reload rules. And now that I might, that's $sign. I need to and it and sudo. That means if the first one, from what I understand, the double ampersand, the double amber lamps means that if the first one goes through, then it'll do the second one. Next, we build a deprivation tank. I wish I could take over the room next to this one because that's where I'd put all the computers and the noise making stuff. And then I could truly like make this into like a studio space. What's that stick? This is the BMW F10 automatic shifter. The sport automatic shifter, which is a weird sport automatic. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, it's got the drives here, and then you can kick it over and do the plus minus. I've had a shifter like this hooked up, and I played My Summer Car with it, and I just, the up and the downs, trying to do that while trying to be like a good racist, like a good racer, sorry. I just couldn't handle it. I would hit shift up and it would shift twice and stuff. So I'm not necessarily going to use this for its intended purpose. It just happens to be something that I can quickly plug in, give power, and it'll give us CAN bus messages. I'm trying to get through one command and I'm getting distracted by literally everything. Sudo u dev atom trigger melon. Bonk. That's not oxymoron. That's just me being obtuse and using whatever it is. Because you would call somebody like a programmerist or something. I don't know. I don't know. So you've damn trigger. I don't, there's no, it didn't give me any feedback, so I guess something happened. iRacist costs $10 a month. I racer? Wait a minute. Sudo reboot. I think the perception of what I do down here to Willow, my dog, is that she sees me being like boisterous and using like a theater voice down here, right? I am pontificating at all of the monitors. And if you guys can hear it at all, she is up there just barking at the door every time I make a noise. She'll quiet down when I quiet down. But if I'm talking to you guys and we make like a joke, and the joke is that I'm frustrated with you guys, and I'm like, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if I'm egging her on or not. But man, it has been a lot of barking today. I will never, I know for these things like iRacer, I'm not going to sign up for. No way. No, like I'm building a luxury sim setup so that I can do stupid stuff like My Summer Car. Oh, I'll probably try to find like some slightly better, you know, simulators out there. Win SCP. But generally what I want to do is not race around. I want to be, yeah, my winter car. I want to be comfortable. That's why we're building a luxury sim setup with real car parts. Use it for Forza. I used it for Assetto Corsa, and it felt really good when you were on a road course. The force feedback does not make you a better racerist. The force feedback does not make you better at racing, because what it does is it distracts you away from being able to like get good control. The feel of the whole thing is great, right? But turning the force feedback almost off is kind of really good, because then you can just chuck the wheel back and forth. LA map for Assetto Corsa. I didn't try that. No, it was a hill climb. I played like 10 minutes of Assetto Corsa on the simulator. I should probably do a little bit more. I played until my arms hurt, and that was when I was pretty out of shape. So, all right, so we're still able to get in. We did not brick ourselves out of the pie. Force feedback seems weird. It can, I don't know if it can work in your advantage. I need to explore it a little bit more. I suffer from having built the whole sim setup and it being a separate piece from the desk. And so in order to set it up again, it takes a bunch of time and I have to lift a bunch of heavy things. So what I'm doing is I'm putting it all onto aluminum rails so that I don't have to do that anymore. It would be kind of cool if I built it into this desk so I could just take the top off of this desk, throw the seat on that desk, and then use that as the sim setup. That would be kind of funny. But I'm not doing that. I'm building it on its own independent thing. I don't have room for that. There's no space. I could probably take over the area behind this shop in order to put that thing up. Verify. IP link. Show. Can 0. I don't need the arrow. The arrow's instructions. No ARP. Up, lower, up, echo. MTU 16. QDisc. PFIFO. Fast, state, up, mode, default, group default, QLEN, 128 link can. I don't know what that means. Sim setups also almost require their own room. In many cases, that is what they get. You've got like your flashy gaming setup, and then you've got the sim setup, and there's nothing on the walls because they didn't design the room. It's literally just the big man toy in the middle of the room. I had a standalone chair with a HUD-OS mounted, but ended up switching to the desk clamps, so I don't need another piece of furniture. I figure if I put all the stuff onto its own setup, it'll be, especially with the seat on there, because the seat's really comfortable. It shows 128 instead of 1024, but it's probably fine. I wonder where that went wrong. Oh, network control. Network CTL. Thank you guys for sticking with me with this, because I know it's very frustrating to watch somebody else do something in console. It's actually very frustrating. CAN 0, link file, 99 CAN, network file, 25 CAN network. State carrier is configured, online status is unknown. CAN, platform, something or other, SPICS2. MCP251X, yes. MTU 16, don't know what that is. PFIFO fast, that sounds cool. Number of queues, 1. Interesting. Active on policy, I'm up on my policies, yeah. Required for online, no. So it looks like it's all configured correctly. Oh, can scroll the arrow keys. Huh. Just quit with Q, okay. But if I'm in console, something is going wrong, yeah. Yeah, this is pretty much the whole thing. Link up, gained carrier. Okay, so Q. If I were to go into Node Red, do you think Node Red would recognize CAN bus as a network? Let's find out. So if we go to the Bower browser, and I go to this, that's not the right one. This one, no, this one. .123 1880. I'm gonna load up the CAN, and if I go to socket out, and I configure CAN 0, vCAN 0. I don't know if those were... Okay, so those are supposedly... It says it's connected, so what's in our debug then? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah, it doesn't show bitrate either. It probably has the wrong bitrate to connect to the KCAN stuff. I don't know if this thing will send out a CAN message or if it only responds. But that says connected to CAN 0. This particular one doesn't have a bitrate, but the other CAN stuff does. So maybe if I use those other flows, hold on. So go down here and I have CAN write and CAN read. That one, none. This one just says CAN. And there's the pull down for the CAN bus select, and there's nothing in there. So that's what, so it would show up in this pull down, I think, if it was the right one. So Node-RED does not, at least in this CAN node thing, doesn't seem to find the interface. Set the baud to 1M. But the thing is, it doesn't know what to set to 1M. Like, it's not going to suddenly show up on that thing if it's set to the right baud rate. So yeah, I think something's still broken. That or it's the Node-RED flows aren't right. For some reason, socket CAN doesn't have any. And then I think it just says it's connected, even though it's not. See, it says connected CAN 0, but I don't think it does anything. Here we go. So, failed to start. CAN listener, CAN interface not configured. Yeah, so I don't know how to configure that. I guess we all need to go do some research, huh? CAN time and OS. Oop, what? Oh, distracted by my own stuff. ARCS routine CAN bus. Yeah, this is different. This is Python code. I don't see a lot of people using Node-RED CAN bus, unfortunately, so. Or you have a conflict in network manager causing problems. See the bottom section of the Discord thing. Oh, okay, yeah. Bottom section of the Discord thing. Let's jump over to that real quick. Dude. Programming is indeed pain, yes. Pain of Python. So in Bookworm, the dog starts barking again. In Bookworm, Network Manager and SystemMD Network D often run in parallel, which can cause conflicts, common problem. ETH0 as configuring in the network control, but unavailable in NMCLI. Both managers are accessing, okay, they're both accessing the same thing. Duplicate IP addresses, boot delays, maybe interfaces unavailable. Overlapping configuration network for ETH0. I don't think that's the case here though. Because I don't think I've seen slowing in anything. And under Network Manager, I think they're, hold on, let's see. What was the one that I ran? It was like, we got to go back a couple commands here. What was the one that listed about systemd or something? If config? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're not running into errors or anything. And then CAN 0. CAN 0 kind of feels like it's unconfigured or something. We dropped 3 packets though. Was that when I was like hitting buttons and like trying to shift it to other locations? Let's just run it again and see if we've got more dropped packets. 3. No, it's still 3. 1 and 3. Network Manager might have taken it away from systemd. Oh, God. What is this crap? It doesn't help that I barely understand what's going on here, but by all means, I mean, annoyingly, this should be working. This is, by the way, getting this working is going to be a major step in all of this stuff because once I get things into Node-RED, that means we can start playing it fast and loose with all of our CAN messages, so I can start sending them out and getting them back We just don't know, like, because it doesn't appear like we have things properly, like, communicating. Like, in node red, I've got those nodes, and I don't think those nodes are, like, using the right stuff. They're pretty old. They haven't been updated in quite a long time, so they might not be communicating with this thing, with the new Raspbian properly. Look at network manager conf. Okay, let me take a look. I do appreciate all the help and the work that you guys are doing here, because it's like I would not have gotten this far without all this stuff that you guys are helping me with. Plugins, if up down, key file. If up down, managed equals false. That's all we got. Not Raspbian, whatever the hell's on this thing, the headless whatever. Scroll to key file, or at the bottom if not present, and then put unmanaged device interface name can star. Okay. Unmanaged device internet candidate. And so, did I do this in sudo? I think so. Don't catch me control Ving. All right, so like that, unmanaged devices, interface name can dash equals dash colon. Yeah, I think I got that right. Okay, Control X. Yes. Enter. Now what? I don't get the unspecified. Still the same stuff there. Do I need to reboot or something? Oh, restart the network, man. Oh, that's very specific. Sudo system control. Restart network manager. Restart system control. Okay. Might need a reboot. Well, it's going to kick me out of this console, so let's just see. Push comes to shove, I'll take a hammer to the Raspberry Pi, and that way we never have to speak of this again. Are we still actually connected? Okay. Same message as before. I don't know, what else do I check in order to see if things are doing their thing? Up. QLEN 128th link can. These are all the same messages that I was getting before. I don't know what's going on. It still doesn't want to try rebooting, and after that I have no clue. Let's just, okay, we'll look at Node-RED quickly. I don't know if this will like magically connect. I don't know if I need to reload this after the restart. I probably do need to do a full reboot, let's be honest. Let's just try a full reboot. And this will just close out. Oh, it's actually, well, we'll do a new section. If network manager has taken the CAN device away, systemd might not take it again without a reboot. Because yeah. What I was thinking is that Node-RED looks to see what's available and won't see it if things change. So it's better to just reboot anyway. This is called WinSCP. Why my memory is like gone? I don't know why. Why can't I remember things? connect to this one. Cool. Whoa. 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 We've dug too greedily and too deep. No, okay, we're good. Okay, just for fun. This message has not changed. I don't understand. Okay, all right. Let's just check Node-RED and see. It's like we keep doing stuff and things like look like they're changing, but then I look at the interfaces and it's like, wait, nothing has changed. What's going on? This thing says it's connected, which doesn't make any sense. This one looks like it'll allow me to do like different speeds, but then there's never anything up here. And we have no help from anything. Like, we have no help. 500 kbps on nothing. And these are old, so they might be looking in the wrong folder for their CAN bus things. Yeah, like nothing changes. I don't know, I'm probably doing all the wrong stuff. That's what's going on today. But I mean, CAN 0 looks the same as it did before. I don't see any differences here. Verify config files. Yeah, we did unmanaged interfaces CAN 0 and didn't change anything. Didn't change anything. I don't know. I am frustrated and there's not enough information available to do what I want to do. Yeah, I believe I2C, yeah, we did enable I2C. That was one of the steps in the earlier tutorials that we did. So is it connected to the right pins? Yeah, this thing is just what it is. It's the older WaveShare board. It doesn't quite have some of the jumper stuff that the newer one has. And perhaps, would it be because it's not terminated properly? And we've got the, what wire is that? That's the green wire goes to the white wire. In our case, the green wire is CAN signal low, and so the white wire comes down here and it connects to CAN signal L and H. So on the jumpers over here. So I am connected properly. This is frustrating. I'm gonna have to do some soul searching. The literal translation of the German page on how to set the stuff up was good. I mean, that was good. That got us through all the stuff that we were trying to get through. It's just that nothing changed when I put in the new settings. So it feels like we're retreading all the same stuff that we're supposed to do. And it's possible that because of the update of the structure of all of these devices, how the folders have changed, could be affecting, for instance, where Node-RED is looking for those CAN protocols that we could pull into Node-RED. If we can pull it into Node-RED, 5 minutes I'll have a working test set up, right? If we could pull it into Node-RED, but it doesn't appear like we can. I'm not sure. Every time I say if we can or cannot do something, it's that same joke again, and I need to have a counter tick up. My brain is burnt from today. Yeah, I literally was just going over the connections. This thing is connected, yeah. When I was doing something like that with RS 232, right? 323, is that a different? I ended up with an oscilloscope. Yeah, I'm gonna hook it up to the oscilloscope and we'll see. We'll do that tomorrow though. We'll do that tomorrow. I'm gonna work on that tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. Today burnt my brain a little bit. I had a lot of distraction going on elsewhere. It's like, why does bother like skip all these streams? And it's because it's too hectic around here usually. It shouldn't be too hectic coming up. So what I'm gonna do is tonight, I'm gonna do some Googling and I'll see what happens. I don't have a CAN bus adapter, can't try it. I may need to just buy the USB one. Whatever I have in the 3D printer, if I just do USB, it'll show up in the interfaces, and then I think Node-RED will see it much more easily. Maybe that's the solution here. Did you get baud rate correct? Probably 500. If I had to guess, it's either 500 or 100, and we set the maximum upper limit of the baud rate, but the flow in Node-RED, the one that I want to use, is the one that has a baud rate selector on it, and I selected a baud rate within that. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't see the OG, the actual connection, like the SPI connection CAN 0 is not showing up in the pull down menu for that node. So something else is going on, and I think maybe I need to look into that node and add the location of the new network interface thing, because that may be what's tripping up the Node-RED flows, is that it's not looking in the right place. It's looking where things used to be. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm going to do a little Googling. This Linux stuff is always kind of stressful. I don't know if other people have run into this. I don't know if a lot of people are trying to implement Node-RED CAN bus, but for us, it's like the perfect thing, because in Node-RED, what I can do is I can piece out all of the different parts of the signals as button presses and stuff, and then we can reroute them using the nodes to CAN bus packets that we will produce, that our microcontrollers will see and interpret UU, not a UUID, is that right? HID controller button press. That's what I want to test here. That's what I'm trying to put together, is we want CAN bus signals coming into the Pi, Node-RED will parse it out, and then we build a CAN bus packet and send it out to separate devices that will act as HID for the computer. There's a way to use CAN utils to test connection from Linux first. Make sure that part is working, but I guess getting Node-RED to see the interface first is a good start. The CAN utils I tried using a little bit, but I don't know if maybe we could try using some of those Linux-based, I think I've got CAN utils installed, I'm not sure. But I think a lot of the tutorials that we were following were using the old, like, network setup. I don't know exactly what to call that. It's weird. It's weird. Anyway, that's enough for today. I need to go touch grass. My dog is probably super tired. Does dmessage grep say, okay, so dmessage wall grep. Or you're trying to look at that one? Yeah, that's the MC25 SPI 0, CAN 0, MCP 2515 successfully initialized. So it is communicating with the MCP 2515. So maybe it's the Node-RED nodes that we need to tweak. Oh, good stream. I didn't get anything done. we put our connector back together for the seat, but I didn't want to do all this stuff with the seat connected. I wanted to do all of this stuff with something that we know is sending a CAN signal that we know the characteristics of. So that GitHub project where the one guy gets this Arduino to communicate with this shifter is a really good example for us to kind of jump on and go, hey, I know that's the right thing. So yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Node-RED is looking in the wrong place. Because the new etc file, and the configs and the network location are slightly different. So I think maybe what I can do is go into the nodes. Right over to Sid Heresy, says Swizzle Circuits. What's Sid Heresy doing? Did we get any, oh, Kowalski Tom. Subscribed for 3 months, 2 hours ago. This is the only activity we've had. But, all right, so yeah, let's do Sid Heresy raid. Does it actually? Hold on. Let's I'm thinking about this in terms of like Linux commands. I'm like grep Sid Heresy, Twitch TV / It's going to say, oops, page not found. Why is this taking so long to load? Okay. Yeah, let's go check out Sid Heresy, everybody. Pseudo Sid Heresy. Pseudo raid slash dot sid slash heresy dot conf. The channel's intended for mature audiences, so be careful, you fucks. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully, what? Too late for what? Oh yeah, you're just a little bit. Let's throw you over there. I've got to go walk the dog, so I'm not going to be present. And I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Bonk. Did I just hit raid now, didn't I? There we go. All right, if you're still here, I'm just going to close down. I need my brain back.